Welcome. Tonight we are exploring the life of Mike Tyson, a man who was arrested 38 times by age 13 and later became the youngest heavyweight champion in history at 20 years old. This is the story of a frightened boy who built an iron exterior to survive the streets of Brooklyn, and a man who spent decades dismantling that very armor. If you enjoy this journey, please like, subscribe, or leave a quiet thought below. Now, settle in, soften your shoulders, and slow your breathing. Let's begin. It is an afternoon in the autumn of 1976, and the location is the flat roof of a multiple-story residential apartment building situated on Amboy Street. This street sits within the Brownsville neighborhood of Brooklyn, New York, in the USA. Brownsville occupies roughly 2.1 square miles of land, and the neighborhood contains blocks of dense brick apartment complexes built during the early 20th century. The building on Amboy Street is constructed from red clay bricks held together by Portland cement mortar. The roof of this building features a slight slope to direct rainwater toward a cast-iron drainage pipe in the corner. The surface of the roof consists of overlapping layers of thick black tar paper, and workers coated the tar paper with a layer of crushed limestone gravel to protect the waterproofing from direct sunlight. The air temperature measures 58 degrees Fahrenheit. A breeze moves across the roof at 8 miles per hour, bringing the smell of diesel exhaust from the distant elevated train tracks. A 10-year-old boy named Michael Gerard Tyson stands near the edge of the brick parapet wall. Tyson possesses an unusually large physical frame for his age, standing 64 inches tall, while his total body mass approaches 200 pounds. This weight equals roughly 90 kilograms. Tyson wears cotton denim jeans and a long-sleeved cotton shirt. He speaks with a noticeable lisp, a speech condition where the tongue protrudes past the front teeth during the pronunciation of sibilant consonants. Due to his weight and his speech patterns, local older children frequently target him for physical harassment and theft, so gang members regularly approach him on the sidewalks of Amboy Street to take his pocket change. Tyson spends his afternoons on the roof, separating himself from the street-level activity. He focuses his attention on raising and breeding rock doves, a species scientifically classified as Columba livia. People commonly refer to these birds as pigeons. Tyson built a rectangular coop for his flock against the brick wall of the elevator shaft, and he constructed the frame using discarded pine boards, measuring 2 inches by 4 inches. He covered the wooden frame with a mesh of galvanized steel wire, and this wire mesh features hexagonal gaps measuring exactly 1 inch across. The coop stands 4 feet tall, 6 feet wide, and 3 feet deep. Inside the enclosure, 25 pigeons rest on wooden perches, and Tyson feeds the birds a daily diet consisting of dried field peas, cracked corn, red Milo, and whole wheat grains. He provides clean water in a shallow galvanized steel pan. At this moment, Tyson holds a single male pigeon in his 2 hands. The bird weighs 12.5 ounces, and it measures 13 inches from the tip of its beak to the end of its tail feathers. The pigeon possesses slate-gray feathers across its back and wings, with 2 distinct black bands running across the wingtips. The feathers around the bird's neck contain microscopic structures that refract ambient sunlight, creating patches of purple and emerald green. The bird's heart beats at a resting rate of 200 beats per minute, while the internal body temperature of the pigeon registers at 106 degrees Fahrenheit. Tyson strokes the dorsal feathers of the bird using the index and middle fingers of his right hand. The metal door of the rooftop stairwell opens with a loud scrape. The dry steel door hinges produce a high-pitched sound as the steel rubs against steel. A teenage boy walks out onto the limestone gravel. The teenager resides in the same neighborhood and claims membership in a local street gang. He stands taller than Tyson and weighs approximately 150 pounds. The teenager walks across the tar paper roof toward the wooden pigeon coop, and the gravel crunches under the rubber soles of his canvas shoes. He stops directly in front of Tyson. The teenager extends his right arm and grabs the pigeon, pulling the bird out of Tyson's hands. The bird flaps its wings, which span 26 inches when fully extended. The older boy grips the pigeon's body with his left hand, and he wraps the fingers of his right hand around the bird's head and neck. He pulls his right hand violently upward and twists his wrist. The physical force applied to the bird exceeds the structural limits of its anatomy, and the twisting motion snaps the cervical vertebrae in the pigeon's neck. The pulling force severs the spinal cord, the carotid arteries, the jugular veins, and the trachea, so the skin and muscle tissue tear apart. The bird's head completely detaches from its torso. Bright red oxygenated blood spills out from the severed arteries, and the blood drops onto the black tar paper and the grey gravel. The older boy drops the headless body of the pigeon onto the roof, and the dead bird lands near the toes of Tyson's shoes. Tyson looks at the dead bird on the gravel, and his adrenal glands immediately secrete epinephrine into his bloodstream. His heart rate accelerates, increasing the flow of oxygen and glucose to his skeletal muscles, while the pupils of his eyes dilate to let in more light. Tyson closes his right hand into a tight fist. He folds his forefingers into his palm and locks his thumb across the second knuckles of his index and middle fingers. He plants the rubber sole of his left shoe onto the gravel, establishing a solid point of contact with the roof. He rotates his right heel outward, twisting his right knee and his right hip. This mechanical rotation transfers the kinetic energy of his 200-pound body upward through his torso. The energy moves into his right shoulder, and Tyson extends his right arm forward, propelling his closed fist toward the older boy's face. The knuckles of Tyson's right hand collide with the left side of the older boy's face. The primary point of impact occurs at the maxilla, the bone forming the upper jaw. The physical force of the blow pushes the older boy's head backward. The sudden acceleration of the teenager's skull causes his brain to shift within the cerebrospinal fluid, and the older boy stumbles backward, disrupting his center of gravity on the gravel surface. Tyson pulls his right fist back toward his chin. He shifts his body weight onto his right leg and rotates his left hip forward, and he swings his left arm in a horizontal arc, executing a left hook. His fist strikes the right side of the older boy's mandible, and the impact creates a loud cracking sound. The older boy raises both of his forearms to shield his face from further strikes. Tyson steps forward, closing the distance between them to less than 2 feet. He throws a rapid sequence of alternating straight punches and hooks. His fists strike the older boy's forearms, shoulders, and chest, and each punch lands with the concentrated mass of a 200-pound boy. The older boy turns his back to Tyson to shield himself from the impacts. He walks quickly across the gravel toward the rooftop exit, and he pulls the metal door open and steps into the stairwell. He descends the concrete steps, leaving Tyson alone on the roof. Tyson stands breathing heavily next to the wooden coop and the remains of the pigeon. During this physical confrontation, Tyson strikes another person for the first time in his life. The impacts demonstrate the mechanical force generated by his physical mass. Tyson will soon walk down those same concrete stairs and step onto the streets of Brownsville. He will use this newly discovered fighting ability to join the local street gangs, and this pathway results in 38 arrests by the NYPD before his 13th birthday. In the spring of 1977, 11-year-old Mike Tyson walks along the concrete sidewalks of Belmont Avenue in Brooklyn. The district of Brownsville encloses roughly 2.5% of the total land area in the borough, and NYPD crime statistics from this period record dozens of homicides within this specific grid of streets each year. Tyson weighs over 190 pounds at 11 years old, and he uses his physical size to gain entry into a local street gang. The older gang members instruct Tyson on the methods of extracting leather wallets from the pockets of pedestrians, so Tyson stands near the transit stations and watches passengers stepping off the MTA buses. These buses feature heavy steel bodies painted white and blue, and they run on diesel fuel. Tyson observes the passengers walking toward the intersections. He approaches a target from behind and inserts his right index and middle fingers into the back pockets of denim jeans or wool trousers. He pinches the leather material of the wallet and pulls it upward in a single motion. He removes the paper currency from the folds, and he discards the empty leather wallet into steel municipal trash cans. These trash cans measure 3 feet tall and sit directly on the corners of the intersections. The gang also coordinates residential burglaries throughout the local apartment buildings. Tyson approaches ground floor windows and strikes the silica glass panes with a steel pipe. The pipe measures 18 inches in length and weighs 2 pounds. The impact fractures the glass, and Tyson reaches his hand through the broken opening to unlatch the brass window locks. He climbs over the wooden windowsills and enters the apartments. The floors inside consist of linoleum tiles or hardwood planks. Tyson walks into the living rooms and collects television sets constructed with heavy cathode ray tubes. He unplugs the copper power cords from the wall outlets and carries the devices out the front doors. He transports the stolen electronics to local pawn shops and exchanges the items for United States dollar bills. The shop owners place the paper bills directly into Tyson's hands. Between the years 1977 and 1979, uniformed officers of the NYPD detain Tyson repeatedly. The officers wear navy blue wool trousers and light blue cotton shirts with metal badges pinned to their chests. They place steel handcuffs around his wrists. The handcuffs feature a ratcheting mechanism with interlocking metal teeth. The officers secure the cuffs and transport Tyson in the back seats of 4-door patrol cars. They drive him to the 73rd Precinct Station House, located on East New York Avenue. The station house is constructed from gray stone blocks and features thick glass windows. Inside the station, officers press his fingertips onto a pad of black ink. The ink contains carbon black pigment mixed with a petroleum base. The officers press his inked fingers onto paper processing cards, and this action leaves permanent ridges of his fingerprints on the white paper. The officers record his legal name, his height, and his weight on the booking sheets using black ink pens. Before Tyson reaches his 13th birthday on June 30th, 1979, the NYPD arrests him exactly 38 times. The juvenile court system of Kings County schedules a series of legal hearings. Tyson sits on a wooden bench inside a courtroom, with fluorescent light bulbs illuminating the space from the ceiling. A judge sits behind an elevated wooden desk and reviews the 38 physical arrest records. The judge strikes a wooden gavel against a sounding block and issues a formal legal ruling. The typed court order officially removes Tyson from the custody of his mother, Lorna Mae Tyson, and the document dictates that Tyson must become a ward of the state of New York. State transport officers place Tyson into a white transport van. The van contains metal cages bolted to the chassis to separate the passengers from the driver. The driver steers the van out of Brooklyn and drives north along the paved asphalt surface of Interstate 87. The internal combustion engine burns unleaded gasoline as the vehicle travels 200 miles upstate into Fulton County. The van parks outside the Tryon School for Boys, a state-funded juvenile detention facility situated in the town of Johnstown, New York. The facility consists of concrete buildings surrounded by chain-link fences. Inside this facility, Tyson will spend his days locked in secure dormitories. He will also meet a specific detention counselor who holds a former boxing championship title, and this counselor will teach Tyson the physical mechanics of throwing a professional punch. In late 1979, 13-year-old Mike Tyson resides inside the Tryon School for Boys. This state-funded juvenile detention center operates within the municipal boundaries of Johnstown, New York. The facility spans across several acres of land, and the campus consists of multiple single-story buildings constructed from gray cinder blocks and poured concrete pillars. Chain-link fences measuring 12 feet in height surround the entire perimeter of the property. Galvanized steel wire forms a continuous diamond pattern across the length of the fences, and the steel wire contains the residents within the facility grounds. Inside the main residential buildings, fluorescent glass tubes emit a constant white light across the linoleum hallway floors. Heavy solid steel doors secure the individual dormitory rooms. The air inside the facility remains heated to a constant temperature of 68 degrees Fahrenheit by centralized natural gas furnaces. At 13 years old, Tyson measures 5 feet and 8 inches from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. His body weight reaches 190 pounds, and this specific mass equals exactly 86.1 kilograms. He wears state-issued cotton uniforms, consisting of khaki trousers and white short-sleeved t-shirts. The physical dimensions of his shoulders and chest require the administrative staff to supply him with adult-sized clothing. Tyson walks through the corridors of the facility wearing rubber-soled canvas shoes. He follows a strict daily schedule dictated by the facility directors. This schedule mandates specific times for waking up, consuming meals in the cafeteria, and attending mandatory educational classes. One of the specific staff members supervising these daily routines is a juvenile detention counselor named Bobby Stewart. Stewart stands 5 feet and 9 inches tall, and he maintains a muscular physique developed through years of athletic conditioning. Prior to his employment at the Tryon facility, Stewart competed in amateur boxing tournaments across the USA. In the year 1974, Stewart won the National Golden Gloves Boxing Championship in the light heavyweight division. The Amateur Boxing Commission strictly regulates the light heavyweight division, requiring competitors to weigh between 165 pounds and 175 pounds. Because of this competitive history, Stewart possesses extensive practical knowledge of human kinesiology, cardiovascular conditioning, and professional boxing mechanics. Stewart supervises the daily recreation periods inside the facility gymnasium. The gymnasium features a large open space with a hardwood floor. Builders constructed this floor using narrow maple wood planks, and they covered the wood with multiple layers of glossy polyurethane varnish to protect the surface from friction. Tyson observes Stewart during these recreation periods. Tyson approaches Stewart directly and asks for formal instruction in the physical techniques of boxing. Stewart agrees to demonstrate the basic physical mechanics of the sport. Stewart leads Tyson to a suspended canvas heavy bag located in the corner of the gymnasium. The heavy bag measures 4 feet in length and 14 inches in diameter, and the entire cylinder weighs exactly 100 pounds. Manufacturers filled the internal cavity of the canvas bag with densely packed shredded cloth fibers and fine-grained silica sand. A heavy steel chain connects the top of the canvas bag to a steel support beam bolted to the ceiling structure. Stuart opens a storage locker and removes a pair of red leather boxing gloves. These specific gloves weigh exactly 16 ounces each. The gloves contain thick layers of molded polyurethane foam padding, situated directly over the knuckle areas to protect the small bones of the human hand from fracturing upon impact. Stuart hands the leather gloves to Tyson, and Tyson slides his hands into the padded compartments. Stuart stands next to the heavy bag and demonstrates the proper anatomical alignment required for throwing a straight punch. He instructs Tyson to plant the rubber soles of his shoes flat on the varnished maple floorboards. He tells Tyson to bend his knees at a slight angle to lower his center of gravity. Stuart physically adjusts Tyson's posture, pushing Tyson's chin down against his collarbone to protect the jaw from counterstrikes. Stuart instructs Tyson to strike the heavy bag. Tyson rotates his right hip forward, transferring the weight of his 190-pound body from his back foot to his front foot. He contracts his right deltoid and pectoral muscles, swinging his right arm forward in a rapid linear motion. The 16-ounce leather glove collides with the canvas surface of the heavy bag. The physical impact creates a loud, abrupt sound that echoes off the concrete block walls of the gymnasium. The 16 ounces of foam padding compress against the internal sand and shredded cloth fibers. The transfer of kinetic energy from Tyson's moving fist pushes the 100-pound bag backward, causing the steel suspension chain to swing upward toward the ceiling. The heavy bag swings back down on the chain and returns to its original vertical position. Tyson resets his feet on the maple floorboards and repeats the physical motion. He throws combinations of straight punches and hooks for a continuous duration of 3 minutes. This specific duration matches the standard length of a professional boxing round. The physical exertion causes Tyson's heart rate to increase from a resting rate of 70 beats per minute to 150 beats per minute. The right ventricle of his heart pumps oxygenated blood through his arteries, delivering glucose to his skeletal muscles. The internal temperature of his body rises, prompting his eccrine glands to secrete liquid sweat onto the surface of his skin. The sweat evaporates into the air of the gymnasium, cooling his epidermis. The physical exertion also increases his respiration rate, causing his lungs to expel carbon dioxide into the room. Stuart stands 2 feet away and observes the physical force generated by the 13-year-old boy. Stuart calculates the exceptional mechanical power output produced by Tyson's frame. The kinetic energy exceeds the typical output of a fully grown adult heavyweight boxer. Stuart watches Tyson hit the bag for several more minutes, listening to the heavy impacts echoing through the gymnasium. The counselor decides to establish a structured educational agreement with the teenager. He will draft a strict behavioral and academic contract in exchange for continuing these formal boxing lessons, and this specific written agreement will require Tyson to drastically improve his reading comprehension scores within the facility classrooms. The resulting daily training sessions will ultimately lead Stuart to introduce the boy to a legendary boxing manager living in a nearby town. Inside an office at the Tryon School for Boys, Bobby Stuart sits behind a steel desk, measuring 48 inches across. Stuart pulls a sheet of standard letter-sized paper from a metal drawer. The white paper measures 8.5 inches wide by 11 inches long, and it consists of pressed wood pulp. Stuart uses a ballpoint pen containing blue oil-based ink to write a formal agreement for Mike Tyson. The ink letters on the page establish a rule requiring Tyson to refrain from engaging in physical altercations with other juvenile inmates living inside the facility. The text also mandates that Tyson attend mandatory educational classes and improve his standardized reading comprehension scores. Tyson signs his legal name at the bottom of the white paper using the same blue ink pen, establishing a direct physical exchange of academic effort for dedicated boxing instruction. Following the signing of the paper, Tyson attends daily reading classes inside a room constructed with painted cinder block walls. He sits at a wooden desk attached to a welded steel chair frame. A certified state teacher hands Tyson printed educational textbooks bound in thick cardboard covers, and these books detail the geographic history of the USA. Tyson opens the books and visually scans the black ink letters printed on the white pages. State educational testing places Tyson at a third-grade reading level at the start of the agreement. Over the course of several months, Tyson reads the assigned texts every single day. His optic nerves transmit the visual shapes of the printed letters to his visual cortex, where his brain decodes the symbols into phonetic sounds and recognized vocabulary words. After several months of this daily cognitive processing, state administrators administer a new standardized reading evaluation. Tyson scores at a 7th grade reading level, successfully fulfilling the academic requirements of the written agreement. Because Tyson meets the academic conditions, Stewart begins the formal boxing instruction inside the facility gymnasium. Stewart constructs a temporary boxing ring by pulling thick nylon ropes between 4 steel poles bolted directly into the varnished maple floorboards. The enclosed square space measures 16 feet on each side. Stewart and Tyson step inside the ropes, wearing 16-ounce leather boxing gloves. Stewart wears protective headgear constructed from thick leather and padded with high-density polyurethane foam. This specific equipment covers his forehead, his cheeks, and his ears. Stewart inserts a molded plastic mouthguard into his mouth to protect his enamel teeth from cracking under physical impact. Tyson stands across from Stewart, wearing a matching molded plastic mouthguard and 16-ounce red leather gloves. A mechanical metal bell rings loudly in the gymnasium, signaling the start of a 3-minute sparring round. Stewart moves across the maple floorboards, demonstrating the proper footwork for professional boxing. He instructs Tyson to maintain a distance of exactly 36 inches, allowing sufficient space to fully extend the arms for straight punches. Tyson approaches Stewart and throws a series of left jabs. He extends his left arm linearly, contracting his triceps muscle to snap the elbow joint straight. The 16-ounce leather glove strikes the polyurethane foam of Stewart's protective headgear. Stewart absorbs the kinetic energy of the strikes, using his cervical neck muscles to stabilize his skull. Stewart weighs 175 pounds, and he uses his own physical mass to push back against Tyson's 190-pound frame. The two individuals exchange punches for the entire 3-minute duration, engaging their cardiovascular systems until the mechanical bell rings to end the round. During one specific sparring session in the year 1980, Tyson and Stewart stand in the center of the ring. Tyson lowers his center of gravity by bending his knees at a 45-degree angle. He pushes off the floorboards with his left foot and rotates his left hip upward. This mechanical rotation transfers the kinetic energy through his torso and into his left arm. Tyson executes a left hook, swinging his arm in a tight horizontal arc towards Stewart's face. The leather surface of Tyson's glove bypasses the padded cheek guards of Stewart's headgear. The 16 ounces of concentrated mass collides directly with the center of Stewart's face. The kinetic energy exceeds the structural limits of the skeletal tissue. The impact fractures the paired nasal bones located between the eyes and tears the connective cartilage separating the nostrils. Small capillaries within the nasal mucous membrane rupture instantly. Bright red oxygenated blood flows out of Stuart's nostrils and drips down his chin onto the maple floorboards. The physical damage requires immediate medical attention, so Stuart steps back and removes his leather gloves to apply physical pressure to the broken blood vessels. Stuart walks to the gymnasium restroom and holds a white cotton towel against his face to absorb the blood. The bleeding stops after 10 minutes of continuous manual pressure, and the torn blood vessels begin to form localized blood clots. Over the next several weeks, osteoblast cells in Stuart's face deposit new calcium and phosphate minerals to fuse the fractured bone tissue back together. During this healing process, Stuart evaluates his instructional capacity. He calculates that a light heavyweight amateur champion cannot properly train a 190-pound heavyweight possessing this specific level of rotational velocity. The physical force required to break a human nasal bone through 16-ounce foam gloves confirms Tyson's exceptional mechanical power. Stuart recognizes that the 14-year-old boy possesses physical capabilities exceeding his own instructional limits. Stuart decides to transport Tyson outside the chain-link fences of the Tryon facility. He plans a drive to the nearby town of Catskill, New York. Stuart intends to introduce the teenager to a 72-year-old boxing manager who operates a dedicated training gym above a police station, and this specific manager will soon watch the boy spar and declare him the future heavyweight champion of the world. In the year 1980, Bobby Stuart drives a motor vehicle containing 14-year-old Mike Tyson away from the Tryon School for Boys. The vehicle travels east along the paved asphalt surface of New York State Route 29. The internal combustion engine powers the car across 40 miles of geographic terrain in upstate New York, located within the USA. The rubber tires of the vehicle roll over the two-lane highway until the car crosses the municipal boundaries of Catskill, New York. The town of Catskill sits on the western bank of the Hudson River. The flowing water of the river moves south toward the Atlantic Ocean. Stuart parks the car on Main Street, and the two individuals step out onto the concrete sidewalk. Stuart and Tyson walk through a glass door and enter a 3-story building constructed from red clay bricks. The municipal police department operates on the ground floor of this building. Officers wearing navy blue cotton uniforms walk across the linoleum tiles, carrying steel firearms in leather holsters. Stuart and Tyson ascend a wooden staircase to the 3rd floor. The 3rd floor houses the Catskill Boxing Club. A 72-year-old man named Constantine D'Amato manages this training facility. D'Amato stands 5 feet and 8 inches tall. He wears thick glass spectacles over his eyes to correct his visual focal length. His skin displays the deep creases of a human being born in the year 1908. The gymnasium occupies a large rectangular room with exposed wooden rafters supporting the ceiling. 3 heavy canvas bags hang from thick steel chains bolted directly to the wooden beams. The air inside the room contains a specific odor composed of evaporated human sweat and aged cowhide leather. A regulation-sized boxing ring sits in the center of the wooden floor. Builders constructed this ring using steel pipes to form the corner posts. 4 parallel nylon ropes stretch between the steel posts, creating an enclosed square measuring 20 feet on each side. The floor of the ring consists of wooden planks covered by an inch of closed-cell foam padding and a layer of stretched canvas cloth. Stuart instructs Tyson to prepare for physical sparring. Tyson wraps his hands in white cotton bandages, The bandages measure 180 inches in length and 2 inches in width. He loops the cotton fabric around his wrist bones and between his fingers, securing the metacarpal bones in his hands to prevent fractures during physical impact. He slides his wrapped hands into a pair of 16-ounce leather boxing gloves. Tyson steps through the nylon ropes and stands on the canvas cloth. Stewart steps into the ring, wearing his protective polyurethane foam headgear and his molded plastic mouthguard. D'Amato stands outside the ring and rests his forearms on the top nylon rope. He watches the two individuals with his eyes behind the thick glass lenses. A mechanical metal bell rings, producing a high-frequency sound wave that bounces off the brick walls. Tyson and Stewart engage in physical combat. Tyson pushes off the canvas with his rubber-soled shoes and throws a series of left hooks and right crosses. The 16-ounce leather gloves strike the protective padding on Stewart's head and the cotton fabric covering his torso. The impacts generate sharp, percussive sounds in the gymnasium. The sparring continues for exactly 3 rounds. Each round lasts exactly 3 minutes, measured by a mechanical stopwatch on the wall. A 60-second resting period occurs between each active round. During these specific resting periods, Tyson sits on a wooden stool in the corner of the ring and inhales atmospheric oxygen into his lungs to replenish the oxygen levels in his bloodstream. The mechanical bell rings a final time to signify the conclusion of the 9th minute of active physical sparring. Tyson lowers his leather gloves and stands in the center of the ring. His eccrine glands secrete liquid sweat onto his forehead and shoulders. D'Amato looks at Stewart and speaks using his vocal cords. D'Amato states loudly that the 14-year-old boy standing in the ring will become the future heavyweight champion of the world. He makes this vocal declaration based directly on the visual observation of Tyson's mechanical rotational velocity and the physical mass transferred during the 3 rounds of punch combinations. Following this specific sparring session, D'Amato files temporary custody paperwork with the state of New York. A judge signs the paper documents with black ink. The state legally approves the transfer, and D'Amato moves Tyson out of the Tryon facility and into his personal residence. The residence is a 14-room Victorian house located in the village of Catskill. Builders constructed this house during the 19th century using wooden clapboard siding and a heavy slate tile roof. Inside this house, D'Amato provides Tyson with a dedicated bedroom containing a wooden frame and a mattress filled with steel coil springs. D'Amato supplies the teenager with 3 meals every single day. The meals consist of high-protein foods, including cooked beef steaks, boiled chicken eggs, and roasted poultry breasts. The animal protein provides the necessary amino acids to repair and build Tyson's skeletal muscle fibers after the daily physical training sessions. The new environment establishes a permanent daily routine for the teenager. This specific routine requires Tyson to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to run 3 miles on the asphalt roads. During the daylight hours, D'Amato will instruct Tyson on a specialized defensive posture that utilizes continuous head movement and tightly held gloves, and he will file the necessary court documents to become the boy's permanent legal guardian following the biological death of his mother. In the calendar year 1982, Lorna Mae Tyson lies on a mattress inside a medical facility located in New York City, within the USA. She is 55 years old. Malignant cancer cells multiply rapidly within her internal biological tissues. The hospital room features white painted drywall and a drop ceiling with fluorescent glass tubes emitting a constant white light. Medical technicians connect her physical body to an electrocardiogram machine. Insulated copper wires transmit the electrical signals from her heart to a monitor, displaying a green waveform on a glass screen. Her cardiac muscle ceases its mechanical pumping action, stopping the circulation of oxygenated blood to her brain and vital organs. The green waveform on the monitor flattens into a continuous straight horizontal line. A physician uses a mechanical stethoscope to listen to her chest cavity and formally signs a paper death certificate using black ink. Michael Gerard Tyson is exactly 16 years old when his biological mother ceases living. Following her death, Constantine Cus D'Amato drives a motor vehicle to a state family court building to formally adopt the teenager. The court building consists of heavy granite blocks and features solid wooden double doors at the main entrance. Inside the courtroom, long wooden benches line the linoleum floor. D'Amato submits printed legal documents constructed from pressed wood pulp. The documents feature a raised, embossed seal representing the state of New York. A state judge, wearing a black cotton robe, sits behind an elevated mahogany desk. The judge reviews the printed text, verifying the 74-year-old D'Amato's financial capability to provide permanent housing and daily nutrition for a 16-year-old dependent. The judge signs the bottom of the document using a metal fountain pen, depositing liquid blue ink onto the signature line. This physical signature legally transfers Tyson from the state foster care system directly to D'Amato's legal custody. Tyson resides inside D'Amato's 14-room Victorian house in the village of Catskill. The house contains oak wood flooring, plaster walls, and a heavy slate tile roof. D'Amato places a mechanical alarm clock on a wooden nightstand next to Tyson's bed. The clock utilizes coiled steel springs that release tension to vibrate a small metal hammer against two steel bells at exactly 4 o'clock in the morning. Tyson wakes up and pulls a heavy gray cotton sweatshirt over his torso. He walks out the front door and steps onto the paved asphalt surface of the local streets. The ambient air temperature in upstate New York drops to 40 degrees Fahrenheit before dawn. Tyson runs along the asphalt roads bordering the Hudson River for a distance of exactly 3 miles. His quadriceps and hamstring muscles contract and relax in rapid succession. The rubber soles of his athletic shoes strike the asphalt pavement, creating a repeating physical friction sound in the quiet neighborhood. His respiratory system draws the cold air through his trachea into his lungs. The atmospheric oxygen diffuses across his alveolar membranes into his bloodstream, while his lungs expel warm carbon dioxide gas into the 40-degree air, creating visible clouds of water vapor with every exhalation. He returns to the house before sunlight hits the slate roof. Following the 3-mile run, Tyson consumes breakfast inside the kitchen. He eats a meal consisting of steel-cut oats boiled in water, liquid cow's milk, and multiple cooked chicken eggs. The digestive enzymes in his stomach break down the complex carbohydrates and proteins, extracting the specific amino acids required to repair the microtears in his skeletal muscle fibers. He attends the local Catskill High School during the daylight hours, sitting at wooden desks to process information in mathematics and reading comprehension. During the evening hours, D'Amato and Tyson sit on upholstered furniture inside the living room. D'Amato inserts a rectangular plastic video cassette into a motorized VCR tape player. The machine uses rotating metal gears to pull a strip of magnetic tape across a metal reed head. The magnetic tape measures exactly 1/2 inch in width. The reed head translates the magnetic particles on the tape into an electrical signal, transmitting this signal through a copper coaxial cable into a television set. The television uses a glass cathode ray tube to fire a beam of electrons against a phosphor-coated screen, illuminating the glass to produce moving images at 24 frames per second. The black and white images display a boxing match recorded on July 4, 1919, in Toledo, Ohio. The footage shows William Harrison Dempsey fighting Jess Willard. Willard stands 6 feet and 6 inches tall and weighs 245 pounds. Dempsey stands 6 feet and 1 inch tall and weighs 187 pounds. Tyson watches the 187-pound Dempsey lower his center of gravity. Dempsey bends his knees and shifts his body mass forward, driving his leather gloves repeatedly into Willard's rib cage and jaw. The recorded footage shows Willard collapsing to the canvas floor 7 times during the first 3-minute round. D'Amato points his index finger at the glowing television screen. He details the specific kinesiology of Dempsey's waist movements. He explains the physical physics of transferring body mass from the leg muscles through the hip joints to generate maximum torque. Tyson processes this visual data through his optic nerves and stores the biomechanical sequences within his motor cortex. He stands up on the oak floorboards of the living room and replicates the exact footwork patterns demonstrated by Dempsey. D'Amato requires Tyson to utilize this forward aggression during their daily training sessions at the Catskill Boxing Club. To protect Tyson while moving forward, D'Amato introduces a highly specialized defensive posture. He instructs Tyson to hold his 16-ounce leather gloves firmly against his cheekbones and maintain a continuous side-to-side bobbing motion with his skull. This specific combination of tight hand placement and rapid torso rotation maximizes the kinetic output of a squat heavyweight frame, and the professional boxing community refers to this precise biomechanical system as the peekaboo style. In the year 1981, Constantine D'Amato stands on the varnished maple floorboards of the Catskill Boxing Club. He watches 15-year-old Mike Tyson practice the specific physical mechanics of the peekaboo boxing stance. Tyson stands inside the 20-foot square boxing ring, surrounded by 4 parallel nylon ropes. He measures exactly 5 feet and 10 inches from the soles of his feet to the top of his skull. His physical body weight registers at 218 pounds on the mechanical steel scale located in the locker room. This specific mass equals 98.8 kilograms, which matches the exact physical weight of 22 standard 10-pound polyurethane bowling balls. Most professional heavyweight boxers stand over 6 feet and 2 inches tall, so Tyson's 5-foot 10-inch frame creates a significantly lower center of gravity. D'Amato uses this lower center of gravity to maximize mechanical torque. He instructs Tyson to bend his knees at a 45-degree angle, bringing his torso closer to the canvas floor. Tyson places his 2 16-ounce leather boxing gloves directly against his facial cheeks. The padded polyurethane foam of the gloves makes continuous physical contact with his zygomatic bones. He presses his elbows tightly against the lower ribs of his torso. This arm placement positions solid bone and muscle tissue directly over his liver and spleen, blocking lateral impacts from opponents. Tyson moves his skull continuously in a geometric pattern resembling the number 8. He bends his waist left and right, shifting his 218-pound mass from his left foot to his right foot. This continuous lateral motion moves his head away from the center line of incoming punches. The movement relies entirely on the continuous contraction and relaxation of his external oblique muscles and his lower lumbar muscles. To accompany this defensive posture, D'Amato implements a numbered striking system. He constructs a specialized training device known as a willy bag. D'Amato suspends a standard canvas heavy bag from the ceiling using a heavy steel chain. He uses a bristle brush and white oil-based paint to draw specific numbers directly onto the canvas cylinder. Each painted number corresponds to a specific anatomical target on a human opponent. The number 1 designates the left side of the human jaw. The number 2 marks the right side of the jaw. The number 6 sits on the lower right side of the bag, representing the anatomical location of the human liver. The number 8 marks the center point under the chin, designating the target area for an upward strike. Tyson stands 18 inches away from the painted canvas cylinder. He drives the rubber sole of his right shoe into the wooden floorboards. His right gastrocnemius muscle contracts, pushing kinetic energy upward through his tibia and femur bones. Tyson rotates his right hip forward, generating mechanical torque in his core muscles. He swings his right arm in a horizontal arc, striking the number 6 on the canvas bag with a right hook. The 16-ounce leather glove compresses against the thick fabric. Immediately following the initial impact, Tyson drops his right shoulder 3 inches toward the floorboards. He pushes upward with his quadriceps muscles, driving his right arm in a vertical trajectory. His right glove strikes the number 8 on the upper section of the canvas bag. The cylinder swings backward on its steel chain, creating a loud snapping sound as the metal links pull against the wooden ceiling beam. D'Amato times the execution of this specific 2-punch combination using a mechanical metal stopwatch. The sweeping second hand indicates that Tyson completes the physical sequence in less than 0.4 of a second. The rapid speed of the combination relies directly on the stored kinetic energy generated by the continuous head movement. The physical positioning of dropping his shoulder stores potential kinetic energy in his leg and back muscles. He releases this energy by extending his legs, transferring the upward force directly into his knuckles. Tyson repeats these exact mechanical movements for hundreds of hours inside the gymnasium. His eccrine glands produce liquid sweat that drips from his chin onto the canvas floor of the ring. His motor cortex builds permanent neural pathways, making the numbered combinations an automatic physiological response. The canvas-heavy bags in the gymnasium require frequent repairs. The thick fabric tears under the repetitive physical force generated by the 218-pound teenager. D'Amato replaces the standard silica sand filling inside the bags with high-density synthetic materials to absorb the excessive impacts. Assistant trainers Kevin Rooney and Teddy Atlas stand inside the ring holding thick leather target mitts on their hands. The trainers wear dense foam chest protectors secured across their backs with nylon straps. Tyson strikes the leather mitts, and the kinetic energy transfers directly through the foam padding, pushing the adult men backward across the 20-foot ring. The trainers step backward to absorb the force, adjusting their canvas shoes on the canvas floor. Tyson maintains his low posture, stepping forward with his chin tucked down against his clavicle. He keeps his eyes focused forward through the 2-inch gap between his red leather gloves. The specific combination of forward momentum, rapid torso rotation, and protected cheekbones makes the peekaboo style highly effective for shorter fighters. Opposing boxers must throw their punches at a downward angle to reach Tyson's skull, and this downward trajectory exposes their own rib cages. Tyson uses this mechanical advantage to dominate physical sparring sessions against older, taller adult boxers traveling from surrounding cities in New York. The adult boxers step into the Catskill ring, and Tyson strikes their torsos with the 6 and 8 punch combinations, forcing the men to collapse onto the padded canvas floor. D'Amato evaluates the physical data and the consistent sparring results. He calculates that the 15-year-old boy possesses the necessary biomechanical skills to enter formal competition. D'Amato fills out printed paper entry forms for the 1981 Junior Olympic Games. He submits the paperwork to the Amateur Boxing Commission using the USA Postal Service, securing Tyson a position in a regulation tournament where the teenager will soon strike an opponent with enough concentrated physical force to end a match in exactly 8 seconds. In the summer months of the calendar year 1981, 15-year-old Mike Tyson registers for the USA Junior Olympic Games. The Amateur Boxing Commission hosts the tournament inside a large indoor gymnasium. The floor of the gymnasium consists of poured concrete slabs. Overhead, high-intensity discharge lamps hang from steel ceiling trusses. These lamps contain metal halide gas, and they emit a bright white light directly down onto the 20-foot square boxing ring. 4 steel pipes support the corners of the ring. Steel turnbuckles pull 4 parallel nylon ropes tight across the perimeter, creating the physical boundary of the fighting area. A flat layer of closed-cell polyurethane foam covers the wooden floorboards of the ring. A sheet of stretched white cotton canvas covers the foam padding. Tyson steps onto the white canvas wearing red leather gloves. Each glove weighs exactly 10 ounces. Amateur boxing regulations mandate the use of 10-ounce gloves for fighters competing in the heavyweight division. Tyson wears protective leather headgear over his skull. The headgear contains thick foam padding covering his ears, his cheeks, and his forehead. A molded plastic mouthguard sits inside his mouth, covering his upper enamel teeth. Tyson stands in the red corner of the ring. His physical body mass registers at 218 pounds. His opponent is an amateur boxer named Joe Cortez. Cortez stands in the blue corner wearing a blue sleeveless cotton shirt and blue leather headgear. A referee, wearing a black and white vertically striped cotton shirt, stands in the center of the canvas. The referee points his hands at the 2 fighters. Outside the nylon ropes, a timekeeper sits at a wooden table. The timekeeper holds a mechanical analog stopwatch in his right hand. He presses a metal button on the top of the stopwatch, releasing a coiled steel spring that turns a set of brass gears. The gears push a thin metal needle around a circular dial. Simultaneously, the timekeeper strikes a solid brass bell with a steel hammer. The hammer impacts the brass, sending a high-frequency sound wave across the concrete gymnasium to signal the start of the 3-minute round. Tyson drives the flat rubber soles of his boxing shoes directly into the white cotton canvas. His calf muscles and quadriceps contract, pushing his entire body weight forward across the ring. The heart rate of the 15-year-old boy elevates to 140 beats per minute as his right ventricle pumps oxygenated blood to his skeletal muscles. He closes the physical distance separating him from Cortez in exactly 2 seconds. Cortez raises his 10-ounce leather gloves to protect his jaw. Tyson bends his waist to the right, dropping his right shoulder toward the canvas floor. This physical movement generates mechanical torque in his external oblique muscles. He swings his right arm upward in a vertical trajectory. The red leather glove bypasses the outer edge of Cortez's defensive guard. The 10 ounces of padded leather and the internal bone structure of Tyson's knuckles strike Cortez directly on the left side of the mandible. The kinetic energy generated by Tyson's 218-pound frame transfers through the red glove and enters Cortez's facial bones. The physical force of the upward strike pushes Cortez's skull backward. The sudden physical acceleration causes the brain inside Cortez's skull to shift rapidly within the cerebrospinal fluid. This movement interrupts the electrical signals traveling through his central nervous system. Cortez's skeletal muscles immediately lose their structural tension. His knee joints bend, and his physical body collapses onto the floor. Gravity pulls his torso and head down onto the white cotton canvas. Cortez lies flat on his back, staring up at the metal halide lamps illuminating the ceiling. The referee steps between the two fighters. He waves his two arms in a horizontal crossing motion to halt the match. The timekeeper presses the metal button on the analog stopwatch. The mechanical gears stop turning, and the thin metal needle points to the 8-second mark on the circular dial. The entire physical confrontation lasts exactly 8 seconds from the vibration of the brass bell to the referee's arm motion. 8 seconds equals the exact amount of time required for an average human being to take 3 deep inhales and exhales of atmospheric oxygen. The referee grasps Tyson's right wrist and raises Tyson's arm into the air to signal the knockout victory. Tournament officials present Tyson with a gold medal. The circular medal consists of a heavy zinc alloy base covered with a thin layer of gold plating. The metal disc hangs from a red, white and blue woven nylon ribbon. Tyson places the nylon ribbon around his neck, and the gold-plated disc rests against his collarbone. In the calendar year 1982, 16-year-old Tyson returns to the Junior Olympic Games tournament. He enters the heavyweight bracket and advances to the final championship match. He faces an amateur boxer named Kelton Brown. Brown wears the mandated protective headgear and the 10-ounce leather gloves. The referee signals the start of the first round, and the timekeeper strikes the brass bell. Tyson moves across the canvas floor using the precise footwork mechanics of the peekaboo stance. He holds his gloves tightly against his cheekbones and continuously bobs his head from left to right. Tyson corners Brown against the nylon ropes. The taut nylon material presses into Brown's back, physically blocking him from stepping backward. Tyson plants the rubber soles of his shoes on the canvas and initiates a rapid sequence of left and right hooks. The 10-ounce red gloves repeatedly strike Brown's ribs and headgear. Brown absorbs the continuous kinetic impacts and struggles to maintain his upright posture. Tyson's eccrine glands secrete liquid sweat onto his forehead. The physical impacts of the leather gloves against Brown's headgear produce loud popping sounds that echo off the concrete walls of the gymnasium. Brown's boxing coach stands outside the ring on the concrete floor. The coach picks up a white cotton towel from a wooden stool. He throws the white towel over the top nylon rope. The fabric falls through the air and lands directly on the canvas floor. The Amateur Boxing Commission recognizes the throwing of a towel onto the canvas as a formal physical signal of surrender. The referee observes the white cotton fabric on the floor and steps between the two fighters. He waves his arms to stop the bout before the first 3-minute round reaches its conclusion. The official timekeeper records the stoppage, and Tyson secures his second consecutive Junior Olympic gold medal. The physical results of these amateur tournaments validate the mechanical efficiency of the peekaboo style. Tyson completes his amateur career with these 2 gold medals and prepares to transition into the professional heavyweight division. He will continue to increase his physical muscle mass and striking velocity over the next 3 years. This ongoing physical development will lead him to the Empire State Plaza Convention Center on March 6, 1985. On that specific date, an 18-year-old Tyson will step into a professional ring wearing only leather gloves and cotton trunks to fight Hector Mercedes, initiating a calendar year where he will fight 15 professional bouts and win 100% of those contests by knockout. On March 6, 1985, an 18-year-old Mike Tyson enters the Empire State Plaza Convention Center. This large architectural complex sits in the downtown district of Albany, New York, within the USA. Builders constructed the convention center using poured concrete walls and thick steel support beams. The floor of the main event hall consists of polished terrazzo tiles. Inside this hall, workers construct a professional boxing ring measuring exactly 20 feet on each side. 4 heavy steel pipes anchor the corners of the ring to the floor. Thick nylon ropes covered in red and blue vinyl stretch between the steel posts, creating the physical perimeter of the combat area. High-intensity halogen lamps hang from the ceiling structure, projecting white light directly downward onto the white cotton canvas covering the ring floor. The ambient temperature inside the convention center registers at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, and hundreds of spectators sit on folding metal chairs arranged in concentric rows around the elevated platform. Inside a dedicated locker room beneath the main hall, Tyson prepares for his professional boxing debut. His physical body weight registers at exactly 214.5 pounds on a mechanical medical scale. Tyson slides his legs into a pair of black cotton trunks. The trunks feature an elastic waistband that compresses against his external oblique muscles. He slides his bare feet directly into a pair of black leather boxing shoes. He secures the shoes by pulling woven cotton laces through metal eyelets. The leather material covers his heels and toes, leaving the skin of his lower calves completely exposed to the circulating air of the room. A licensed athletic inspector wraps Tyson's hands in strips of white cotton gauze. The inspector secures the gauze by wrapping layers of white adhesive athletic tape tightly around Tyson's wrist bones and metacarpals. This specific binding technique stabilizes the small bones of the human hand to withstand high-velocity physical impacts. Tyson walks out of the locker room and travels down a concrete corridor toward the main hall. He climbs 3 wooden steps and passes between the nylon ropes. He stands on the white canvas floor, wearing red leather boxing gloves. Each glove weighs exactly 10 ounces and contains molded polyurethane foam, padding over the knuckles. State Athletic Commission rules mandate the complete exposure of the fighters' skulls, requiring professional boxers to leave their facial bones uncovered by foam padding during official bouts. Tyson's opponent stands in the opposite corner of the ring. His name is Hector Mercedes, and he is a 29-year-old professional boxer originating from Puerto Rico. Mercedes wears blue athletic trunks and matching blue boxing shoes. A referee wearing a light blue button-down cotton shirt and a black fabric bow tie stands in the exact center of the canvas floor. A timekeeper, sitting at a wooden table outside the ring, strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer. The bell produces a sharp ringing sound, and the first 3-minute round begins. Tyson immediately walks forward across the canvas. He utilizes the peekaboo stance taught by Constantine Q's D'Amato, holding his 10-ounce red gloves tightly against his cheekbones. He bends his knees and moves his skull in a continuous lateral sequence. Tyson closes the physical distance to Mercedes and initiates a rapid sequence of strikes. He rotates his left hip upward and drives a left hook into the right side of Mercedes's ribcage. The physical impact forces the stored air out of Mercedes's lungs. Tyson instantly drops his right shoulder and drives a right hook upward into Mercedes's jaw. The kinetic energy from the 214-pound teenager transfers directly into the skeletal structure of the 29-year-old man. Mercedes absorbs the physical force of the strikes and collapses toward the floor. He drops his right knee onto the white cotton canvas and rests his forearms on the taut nylon ropes. The The referee steps between the two fighters and begins extending the fingers on his right hand, counting the elapsed seconds out loud. Mercedes remains on his knee as the referee reaches the required count of 10. The referee waves his arms horizontally in the air, officially halting the match. The analog clock on the timekeeper's table indicates exactly 1 minute and 47 seconds have passed in the first round. The referee raises Tyson's right arm, signaling a victory by technical knockout. Tyson walks back to the locker room and receives a printed paper check from the promoters for his participation in the event. This specific victory in Albany initiates a highly concentrated schedule of professional bouts. Over the subsequent 9 months of the calendar year 1985, Tyson travels in motor vehicles across the eastern USA. He fights inside hotel casinos in Atlantic City, New Jersey, and local arenas in Latham, New York. He engages in 14 additional professional matches against adult male opponents. Tyson wins all 15 of his fights in 1985 by physical knockout. 11 of these 15 knockout victories occur within the very first 3-minute round. His total accumulated time actively fighting inside the ring for the entire calendar year amounts to less than 60 minutes. He fights an average of every 24 days, generating a continuous sequence of kinetic impacts that routinely force his opponents to collapse onto the canvas floor. While Tyson executes this sequence of 15 consecutive knockouts, his 77-year-old legal guardian experiences a severe respiratory illness. In the autumn months of 1985, Konstantin Kustamato enters Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City. Medical physicians diagnose the elderly man with pneumonia. This biological infection fills the alveolar sacs in his lungs with fluid, severely restricting the diffusion of atmospheric oxygen into his bloodstream. On November 4, 1985, D'Amato's respiratory system completely ceases its biological function. The biological death of the manager forces assistant trainer Kevin Rooney to assume total control of Tyson's daily physical preparation. Tyson attends the burial service for his legal guardian and steps back into a professional ring just 9 days later in Houston, Texas, utilizing the exact physical mechanics D'Amato taught him to knock out Eddie Richardson in 1 minute and 17 seconds. On February 16, 1986, a fleet of commercial motor vehicles parks outside the Houston Fieldhouse. This indoor athletic arena sits on the campus of a Polytechnic Institute in Troy, New York. Builders constructed the facility using poured concrete foundations, red brick walls, and a curved roof supported by arched steel trusses. Inside the building, workers pull thick copper coaxial cables across the concrete floors. These cables connect television cameras located near the boxing ring to a mobile broadcasting truck parked on the exterior asphalt. The television cameras contain optical glass lenses and internal image pickup tubes. The technical crew from ABC Sports operates this equipment to capture light photons bouncing off the physical objects inside the arena. The broadcasting truck converts these optical images into electromagnetic radio waves. A parabolic metal antenna on the roof of the truck transmits these invisible waves up into the atmosphere, where an orbiting satellite reflects the signals back to television antennas mounted on residential rooftops across the USA. Inside millions of residential living rooms, television sets receive the continuous radio frequency signals. These television units consist of heavy wooden cabinets containing glass cathode ray tubes. An internal electron gun fires a continuous beam of electrons against the inside of the glass screen. The inside of the glass features a coating of phosphor chemicals that emit light upon physical impact from the electrons. The scanning electron beam draws 29.97 frames per second on the glass screen, reconstructing the exact visual scene occurring inside the Houston Fieldhouse. The human beings sitting in these living rooms look at the glass screens and observe 19-year-old Mike Tyson stepping onto the white canvas floor of the boxing ring. Tyson stands in the corner of the ring, wearing black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes. His bare skin makes direct contact with the leather interior of the shoes. He wears 10-ounce red leather boxing gloves over his taped hands. His opponent stands in the opposite corner. The opponent is a 28-year-old professional boxer named Jesse Ferguson. Ferguson measures 74 inches in height, and his body mass registers at 212.5 pounds. He wears white cotton trunks featuring red vertical stripes along the lateral seams. A referee named Luis Rivera stands on the canvas between the two fighters. Rivera wears a short-sleeved light blue cotton shirt, dark wool trousers, and a black fabric bow tie around his neck. The timekeeper strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to start the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks forward on the white canvas using the peekaboo stance. He holds his 10-ounce red gloves tightly against his cheekbones and bobs his skull continuously from left to right. Ferguson utilizes his longer arms to extend straight punches toward Tyson's head. When Tyson closes the physical distance, Ferguson wraps his two arms tightly around Tyson's torso and shoulders. This physical maneuver creates mechanical friction between their sweating bodies and severely restricts Tyson's physical range of motion. Rivera steps between the two men. The referee places his open hands against their chests and pushes them in opposite directions to separate their bodies. This physical sequence of striking and holding repeats consistently for the first 4 rounds of the match. The mechanical bell rings to initiate the 5th round. Tyson steps forward and presses his leather shoes against the closed-cell foam padding underneath the canvas. He bends his knees and drops his right shoulder toward the floorboards. Ferguson stands with his chin exposed. Tyson contracts his right quadriceps and his right calf muscles. The kinetic energy travels upward through his tibia, femur, and pelvic bones. He rotates his right external oblique muscle and swings his right arm in a rapid vertical trajectory. The 10-ounce red leather glove bypasses Ferguson's forearms. The polyurethane foam padding over Tyson's knuckles collides directly with the center of Ferguson's face. The physical impact concentrates Tyson's kinetic energy into the paired nasal bones, located on the front of Ferguson's skull. The sudden mechanical pressure fractures the calcium and phosphate minerals inside the bone tissue. The nasal bone breaks into separate pieces. The sharp edges of the fractured bone tear through the internal mucous membranes and sever the small blood vessels lining the nasal cavity. Oxygenated blood flows immediately from the ruptured capillaries and drips down Ferguson's upper lip. The physical force of the upward strike pushes Ferguson's skull backward, displacing his center of gravity. He falls backward and lands with his back flat against the white canvas floor. Ferguson rolls onto his side and stands back on his feet before the referee finishes counting 10 seconds. The round ends, and Ferguson sits on a wooden stool in his corner, while a corner worker presses a white cotton towel against his bleeding nostrils to absorb the blood. The bell rings to start the 6th round. Ferguson walks to the center of the ring. He immediately wraps his arms around Tyson's upper body and interlocks his fingers behind Tyson's back. The referee separates them. Ferguson steps forward and wraps his arms around Tyson a second time, keeping his 10-ounce leather gloves pressed flat against the exposed skin of Tyson's back. Rivera physically pushes the two men apart and steps backward. The referee waves his two arms horizontally through the air, signaling the official termination of the boxing match. The timekeeper stops the mechanical analog clock. The technical crew from ABC Sports transmits this final sequence of events through the coaxial cables. The satellite reflects the images into the cathode ray tubes of millions of American homes. This specific nationwide broadcast introduces Tyson's mechanical speed and physical power to the broader population of the USA. The victory advances his professional record and accelerates his trajectory through the heavyweight division rankings. He will continue training in Catskill under the physical instruction of Kevin Rooney. The subsequent string of consecutive knockout victories will secure him a formal title opportunity at the end of the year. He will pack his athletic equipment into travel bags and fly on a commercial passenger airplane to the state of Nevada. On November 22, 1986, he will enter a boxing ring inside the Las Vegas Hilton to fight Trevor Berbick for the WBC Heavyweight Championship of the World. On November 22, 1986, a commercial passenger aircraft lands on the asphalt runway of McCarran International Airport in Las Vegas, Nevada, located in the western region of the USA. Mike Tyson rides in a motor vehicle down Paradise Road and arrives at the Las Vegas Hilton. The Las Vegas Hilton is a hotel and casino complex constructed from poured concrete and steel I-beams. The exterior of the building features hundreds of rectangular glass windows. Inside the hotel, workers assembled a regulation boxing ring in the center of the main indoor pavilion. The pavilion seats approximately 8,000 human beings on interlocking metal folding chairs. The ring measures exactly 20 feet on each side, enclosed by 4 parallel nylon ropes attached to steel corner posts. A layer of closed-cell polyurethane foam covers the wooden floorboards, and a stretched sheet of white cotton canvas covers the foam padding. High-intensity metal halide lamps hang from the steel ceiling trusses, directing bright white light onto the canvas surface. Tyson is 20 years and 4 months old on this specific date. His physical body weight registers at 221.5 pounds on the mechanical medical scale inside the locker room. He wears solid black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes, worn directly against his bare skin. He walks from the locker room to the ring, wearing a white cotton towel, cut with a single hole in the center. He pulls his head through the hole, resting the white fabric over his clavicles and shoulders. His opponent in the ring is Trevor Berbick. Berbick is 33 years old and holds the World Boxing Council Heavyweight Championship belt. He secured this specific title 8 months prior by defeating a boxer named Pinklon Thomas. The championship belt features a circular gold-plated center medallion attached to a thick strap of green cowhide leather. Berbick wears black cotton trunks and high black leather shoes. A referee named Mills Lane stands on the white canvas between the two men. Lane wears a light blue, short-sleeved cotton shirt and black wool trousers. A timekeeper sitting at a wooden table strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to initiate the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks across the canvas, utilizing the peekaboo defensive stance taught by Constantine Custamato. He holds his 10-ounce red leather gloves against his cheekbones and bobs his skull continuously to the left and the right. Berbick extends his arms and pushes his own gloves against Tyson's shoulders, using his 218-pound physical mass to push Tyson backward. Tyson drops his center of gravity by bending his knee joints. He rotates his torso and throws combinations of left and right hooks. The dense polyurethane foam inside the red leather gloves impacts Berbick's ribcage and jaw. Berbick absorbs the kinetic energy and survives the first 3 minutes of physical combat. The brass bell rings, and both men sit on wooden stools in their respective corners for exactly 60 seconds to inhale atmospheric oxygen into their lungs. The bell rings to begin the second round. Tyson steps off his wooden stool and walks to the center of the ring. He plants the rubber soles of his black leather shoes flat against the cotton canvas. He contracts his right quadriceps and his left external oblique muscle. This biological sequence rotates his hip and drives his right arm in a horizontal arc. The right leather glove strikes the left side of Berbick's head. Berbick's center of gravity shifts past his base of support, and his physical body drops to the canvas. Berbick pushes his hands against the floorboards and stands back up on his feet. Mills Lane wipes the dust from Berbick's leather gloves using his own cotton shirt and signals for the match to resume. Tyson closes the physical distance a second time. He drops his left shoulder toward the floor, transferring his body weight onto his left leg. He pushes upward and swings his left arm in a tight hook. The 10-ounce leather glove bypasses Berbick's right arm. The glove collides directly with the right temporal bone on Berbick's skull. The sudden transfer of kinetic energy accelerates Berbick's skull horizontally. His brain shifts within the cerebrospinal fluid, and the impact disrupts the electrical signals traveling across his central nervous system. Berbick collapses backward, and his torso impacts the white canvas floor. Berbick rolls onto his stomach and pushes his body upward, using his forearms. His damaged nerve pathways transmit irregular electrical impulses to his skeletal muscles. He pushes himself to a standing position, and his knee joints collapse under the downward pull of gravity. He stumbles sideways across the canvas and falls headfirst into the nylon ropes. He attempts to stand a second time. He pushes his hands against the taut lower rope and rises to his feet. His equilibrium shifts to the right, and his body falls sideways onto the floor a third time. Referee Mills Lane observes the physical sequence of Berbick's motor functions. Lane waves his two arms horizontally over Berbick's body, terminating the physical contest. The analog stopwatch on the timekeeper's table records the total elapsed time of the second round at 2 minutes and 35 seconds. The total duration of the match equals exactly 5 minutes and 35 seconds. Following the stoppage, an official from the World Boxing Council hands the green leather championship belt to Tyson. At 20 years and 4 months old, Tyson breaks the historical record previously held by Floyd Patterson, who won a heavyweight title at the age of 21 years and 11 months. Custamato trained both Patterson and Tyson during his lifetime. The victory secures the WBC belt for Tyson, establishing his position as the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of the sport. Tyson hands the green leather belt to his co-manager, Jim Jacobs, inside the ring. In the year 1986, the professional boxing industry operates with 3 distinct governing commissions, and each commission awards a different championship belt. The World Boxing Association and the International Boxing Federation hold the other 2 titles. Tyson signs legal contracts to fight the remaining champions to consolidate the physical belts. He will travel back to Nevada early the following year to face James Bonecrusher Smith. On March 7, 1987, he will step into the ring for exactly 12 rounds to continuously strike Smith and claim the WBA title. On March 7, 1987, Mike Tyson returns to the Las Vegas Hilton in the state of Nevada, located within the USA. The event organizers construct a temporary outdoor arena in the parking lot of the hotel complex. Workers bolt interlocking steel scaffolding together to create elevated grandstands. They place thousands of metal folding chairs directly onto the asphalt surface to accommodate the paying spectators. The ambient air temperature in the Nevada desert reaches 65 degrees Fahrenheit during the evening hours. High-intensity metal halide lamps illuminate the 20-foot square boxing ring situated in the center of the stadium. A layer of stretched white cotton canvas covers the closed-cell polyurethane foam padding on the ring floor. 4 steel turnbuckles pull 4 parallel nylon ropes tight between the steel corner posts. Tyson walks down the stadium aisle toward the ring. He intends to unify the professional heavyweight division titles. He currently holds the green leather World Boxing Council Championship belt, and he seeks to acquire the World Boxing Association Championship belt. A 33-year-old professional boxer named James Smith currently possesses the WBA title. The boxing community refers to Smith by the nickname Bone Crusher. Smith stands 76 inches tall from the soles of his shoes to the top of his skull. His physical body mass registers at 230 pounds on the mechanical medical scale. Tyson stands 70 inches tall and his body weight measures 219 pounds. Tyson steps onto the white canvas wearing solid black cotton trunks. He wears black leather boxing shoes laced directly against the bare skin of his feet. He wears 10-ounce red leather boxing gloves over his taped hands. Smith stands in the opposite corner wearing white cotton trunks featuring red and blue vertical stripes. He wears high-top white leather boxing shoes. A referee named Mills Lane stands on the canvas between the two fighters. Lane wears a light blue short-sleeved cotton shirt, dark wool trousers, and a black fabric bow tie. The official timekeeper sits at a wooden table outside the nylon ropes. He strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to signal the beginning of the first 3-minute round. Tyson steps forward across the polyurethane foam padding. He holds his red leather gloves tightly against his cheekbones to execute the peekaboo defensive stance. He bends his knee joints and bobs his head continuously from left to right. Tyson pushes his rubber shoe soles against the canvas and lunges forward, extending his left arm in a horizontal hook. Smith reacts to the forward momentum by extending his own arms. Smith wraps his thick forearms entirely around Tyson's upper torso and shoulders. Smith leans his torso forward, pressing his 230-pound physical mass directly downward onto Tyson's neck and back. This specific biological maneuver creates significant physical friction between the two sweating bodies. The holding tactic completely immobilizes Tyson's arms, preventing him from swinging his leather gloves to generate kinetic impacts. Referee Mills Lane steps toward the two fighters. He inserts his hands between their chests and pushes outward with his triceps muscles, physically separating their bodies. He steps backward and verbally commands the two men to resume fighting. Tyson steps forward a second time, and Smith immediately wraps his arms around Tyson's upper body again. This physical sequence of Tyson advancing and Smith initiating a clinch repeats constantly throughout the first 3-minute round. The brass bell rings, and the two fighters walk to their respective corners. They sit on wooden stools for exactly 60 seconds. During this resting period, assistant trainer Kevin Rooney squeezes water from a wet sponge over Tyson's head. Rooney uses his fingers to spread a thin layer of translucent petroleum jelly over Tyson's cheekbones and eyebrow ridges. The petroleum jelly reduces friction on the epidermal layer of the skin, preventing incoming leather gloves from tearing the tissue. The bell rings to begin the second round. The physical pattern established in the first round continues without deviation. Tyson attempts to deliver left and right hooks to Smith's ribs. Smith absorbs the scattered impacts and instantly wraps his arms around Tyson's waist and shoulders. The continuous physical exertion of pushing against Smith's 230-pound frame elevates Tyson's heart rate. His right ventricle pumps oxygenated blood through his arteries to supply his skeletal muscles with glucose. His eccrine glands secrete liquid sweat onto his skin, and the sweat drips onto the white cotton canvas floor. The match progresses through the scheduled 12 rounds. Each round consists of exactly 3 minutes of physical combat, followed by a 60-second resting period. The total duration of active fighting equals 36 minutes. During these 36 minutes, Tyson lands a total of 223 punches. The dense foam padding of his red leather gloves transfers kinetic energy into Smith's torso and skull, 223 separate times. Smith lands a total of 51 punches against Tyson's body. Referee Mills Lane penalizes Smith for the continuous holding tactics by deducting points from the official scorecards. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell a final time to mark the end of the 12th round. 3 professional judges sit at wooden tables located adjacent to the ring apron. Each judge uses a pen containing blue ink to write numerical scores onto printed paper cards. The scoring system awards 10 points to the winner of each round and 9 or fewer points to the loser. The judges hand the paper cards to the referee. The mathematical totals on all 3 cards grant Tyson the victory by a wide numerical margin. The official result is a unanimous decision in favor of Tyson. An official from the World Boxing Association steps into the ring. He carries the WBA championship belt. This belt features a thick strap of black cowhide leather. A large gold-plated metal medallion sits in the center of the leather strap, flanked by smaller brass plates. The official fastens the leather belt around Tyson's waist. Tyson now physically possesses 2 of the 3 major heavyweight championship belts in the professional boxing industry. To consolidate complete control over the entire heavyweight division, Tyson signs a legal contract to fight Tony Tucker. Tucker holds the International Boxing Federation Championship title. Tyson schedules this final unification bout for August 1st, 1987. He will return to the Las Vegas Hilton a 3rd time. He will walk into the ring to execute his mechanical punch combinations against Tucker over 12 rounds, claim the final IBF belt via unanimous decision, and become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. On August 1st, 1987, Mike Tyson returns to the Las Vegas Hilton in the state of Nevada. The event organizers construct a 20-foot square boxing ring inside the indoor pavilion. The floor consists of wooden planks covered by closed-cell polyurethane foam padding and a layer of white cotton canvas. 4 steel pipes form the corners, and steel turnbuckles pull 4 nylon ropes tight across the perimeter. Tyson steps onto the canvas floor to fight Tony Tucker. Tucker holds the International Boxing Federation Championship title. The Boxing Commission refers to this title using the acronym IBF. Tucker stands 77 inches tall, and his physical body mass registers at 221 pounds on the mechanical medical scale. Tyson stands 70 inches tall, and his body weight also measures exactly 221 pounds. Tyson wears black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes. Tucker wears white cotton trunks and white leather shoes. A referee named Mills Lane stands on the canvas between the 2 men. He wears a light blue cotton shirt and a black fabric bow tie. The timekeeper strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to start the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks forward across the polyurethane foam padding. He uses the peekaboo defensive stance, holding his red leather gloves tightly against his cheekbones. In the first round, Tucker extends his left arm and drives his 10-ounce leather glove directly into the left side of Tyson's jaw. The kinetic energy pushes Tyson's skull backward. and Tyson takes a physical step backward to regain his balance. This specific impact marks a rare instance where an opponent forces Tyson to move in a reverse direction during a professional bout. Tyson bends his knee joints and lowers his center of gravity. He bobs his skull from left to right, moving his head away from Tucker's straight punches. Tyson closes the physical distance and swings his arms in rapid horizontal arcs. His red leather gloves strike Tucker's rib cage and temporal bones. Tucker absorbs the physical impacts and continues to stand on his feet. The fight progresses through the scheduled 12 rounds. Each round lasts exactly 3 minutes, separated by a 60-second resting period. The physical exertion causes both men to secrete liquid sweat from their eccrine glands onto their epidermis. The sweat drips onto the white cotton canvas floor. At the conclusion of the 12th round, the timekeeper strikes the brass bell a final time. 3 professional judges write numerical scores onto paper cards using ink pens. The judges add the numbers and award the victory to Tyson via unanimous decision. An official from the International Boxing Federation hands a red leather championship belt to Tyson. The center of the belt features a gold-plated metal eagle. Tyson physically holds the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF belts simultaneously. He becomes the first professional heavyweight boxer to own all 3 major championship titles at the exact same time. To defend these unified titles, Tyson signs a legal contract to fight Larry Holmes. The promoters scheduled the bout for January 22, 1988. The event takes place at the Convention Hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The Convention Hall features poured concrete walls and a vaulted ceiling, supported by steel arches. Holmes is a 38-year-old former heavyweight champion. He stands 75 inches tall, and his body mass registers at 225.5 pounds. Tyson's body weight measures 215.5 pounds. Tyson steps into the 20-foot ring wearing black cotton trunks. Holmes wears white cotton trunks. A referee named Joe Cortez stands between the 2 fighters on the white canvas floor. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell, and the first 3-minute round begins. Tyson walks forward, utilizing the peekaboo stance. Holmes extends his left arm frequently, using his leather glove to measure the physical distance between their bodies. Holmes relies on a straight left jab to strike Tyson's headgear. Tyson slips his skull past the incoming punches by bending his waist and rotating his external oblique muscles. The physical combat continues into the 4th round. Tyson drops his right shoulder toward the canvas floor. He contracts his right quadriceps and swings his right arm in a horizontal hook. The 10-ounce red leather glove bypasses Holmes's defensive guard. The polyurethane foam padding over Tyson's knuckles collides directly with the left side of Holmes's mandible. The transfer of kinetic energy accelerates Holmes's skull to the right. The sudden movement shifts his brain inside the cerebrospinal fluid, interrupting the electrical signals traveling through his central nervous system. Holmes collapses backward, and his torso impacts the white canvas floor. Holmes stands up on his feet before the referee finishes counting 10 seconds. Tyson immediately walks forward and delivers a right hook followed by a left hook. Both leather gloves strike Holmes's head, and Holmes falls to the canvas a second time. He pushes his hands against the floorboards and stands up again. Tyson steps forward and executes a right hook directly to the chin. Holmes falls backward, and his upper back and skull hit the canvas floor simultaneously. His arms lie flat on the floorboards. Referee Joe Cortez waves his 2 arms horizontally over Holmes's body, stopping the match at 2 minutes and 55 seconds of the 4th round. Tyson retains his 3 unified championship belts. He returns to the locker room and removes his leather gloves and athletic tape. The promoters schedule his next title defense for June 27, 1988. He will return to the convention hall in Atlantic City to face Michael Spinks. Spinks enters the upcoming match holding the lineal heavyweight championship and an undefeated record spanning 31 professional fights. Tyson will wait inside his locker room, walk out to the ring, and deliver a sequence of physical impacts that will end the entire confrontation in exactly 91 seconds. On June 27, 1988, 21,785 paying spectators walk across the wooden planks of the boardwalk in Atlantic City, New Jersey, located on the eastern coast of the USA. They enter the convention hall, a large architectural structure built with reinforced concrete walls and steel girders, positioned directly adjacent to the Atlantic Ocean. Inside the main auditorium, workers installed a 20-foot square boxing ring, elevated on a steel platform. The ring surface consists of wooden planks, closed-cell polyurethane foam padding, and a stretched layer of white cotton canvas. 4 heavy steel pipes anchor the corners to the floor. Beneath the stadium seating, Mike Tyson sits inside a concrete locker room. His physical body mass registers at exactly 218 1/4 pounds on a mechanical medical scale. In a separate locker room on the opposite side of the building, Michael Spinks stands on an identical steel scale. His body weight measures exactly 212 1/4 pounds. Spinks enters this specific date holding an undefeated professional boxing record consisting of 31 victories and 0 defeats. Spinks possesses the lineal heavyweight championship title, a physical recognition awarded to the man who defeated the previous continuous champion. Spinks walks out of his locker room and down the concrete aisle toward the ring. He wears white cotton boxing trunks and white leather shoes. Tyson walks down the aisle moments later. He wears black cotton trunks, black leather shoes laced directly over bare feet, and a white cotton towel featuring a single hole cut through the center. He pulls his head through the hole, resting the cotton fabric on his clavicles. Both men step onto the white canvas floor, wearing 10-ounce red leather boxing gloves containing molded polyurethane foam. A referee named Frank Cappuccino stands between the two fighters, wearing a short-sleeved light blue cotton shirt and a black fabric bow tie. An official timekeeper holds a mechanical analog stopwatch and strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer. The bell produces a high-frequency sound wave, and the first 3-minute round begins. Tyson steps forward, across the canvas, using the peekaboo stance. He bends his knee joints to lower his center of gravity and holds his red gloves tightly against his cheekbones. Spinks extends his left arm, attempting to establish a physical distance. Tyson rotates his torso and moves his head laterally, slipping his skull past Spinks's extended glove. Tyson closes the physical distance to less than 2 feet. He swings his left arm upward, striking the right side of Spinks's mandible. Tyson immediately pivots his right foot and drives his right arm forward into Spinks's ribcage. The kinetic energy from the right hook transfers directly into the intercostal muscles on Spinks's left side. Spinks's leg muscles lose tension, and he drops downward, landing with his left knee on the canvas floor. Referee Cappuccino extends the fingers of his right hand, counting the elapsed seconds out loud. Spinks pushes off the canvas and stands back up on his feet before Cappuccino reaches the number 4. Cappuccino wipes the dust from Spinks's gloves using his cotton shirt and signals the men to resume combat. Tyson walks forward a second time. Spinks throws a straight right hand toward Tyson's head. Tyson leans his upper torso to the left. and Spinks's glove passes over Tyson's right shoulder. Tyson stores potential kinetic energy in his leg muscles during this downward motion. He releases this energy by extending his quadriceps and rotating his hips. Tyson swings his right arm in a tight horizontal arc. The 10-ounce leather glove bypasses Spinks's defensive guard entirely, and the polyurethane foam collides flush against the left side of Spinks's jaw. The transfer of mechanical force accelerates Spinks's skull backward. The sudden acceleration causes his brain to shift within his cerebrospinal fluid, interrupting the electrical signals traveling to his skeletal muscles. Spinks collapses completely backward. His lower back, his shoulder blades, and the back of his head strike the cotton canvas simultaneously. His legs lie flat against the floorboards. His eyes remain open, looking upward at the metal halide lamps. Referee Cappuccino waves his two arms horizontally over Spinks's body, terminating the match instantly. The official timekeeper presses the metal button on the analog stopwatch. The mechanical gears stop turning, and the thin metal needle points to the 1 minute and 31-second mark on the circular dial. This exact duration equals 91 seconds. Tyson retains the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF heavyweight championship belts, and he acquires the lineal championship title from Spinks. Following this specific 91-second victory, Tyson returns to his training camp, where his inner circle experiences a severe structural reorganization. In December of 1988, Tyson will terminate the employment contract of his head trainer Kevin Rooney. He will sign legal documents granting boxing promoter Don King complete administrative control over his financial operations and match scheduling, and this management shift will prompt Tyson to abandon the disciplined peekaboo defensive head movement in favor of throwing wide single punches inside the professional ring. In the final weeks of December 1988, 22-year-old Mike Tyson sits at a wooden table inside a building in the state of New York. He holds a ballpoint pen containing blue oil-based ink. He presses the metal tip of the pen against a stack of white paper documents. These printed legal documents formally terminate the employment contract of his head boxing trainer, Kevin Rooney. Rooney directed Tyson's daily physical conditioning for exactly 37 months, following the biological death of Konstantin Kustamato. Tyson signs his legal name on the signature line, finalizing the physical separation from his original training staff. Tyson pulls a second stack of paper documents across the wooden table. He signs these pages with the same blue ink pen. These specific contracts transfer the exclusive administrative control of his professional boxing career to a promoter named Donald King. King stands 74 inches tall, and his physical body mass registers at 250 pounds. He manages his promotional company from a commercial office space containing wooden desks and copper telephone lines. The printed text on the paper pages assigns King the direct responsibility to negotiate all future heavyweight championship matches. The legal agreement also grants King the authority to manage the physical distribution of millions of United States dollar bills generated by cable television broadcasts and stadium ticket sales. Following the signing of these paper documents, Tyson alters his daily physical training routines. He travels to a boxing gymnasium to prepare for his next scheduled title defense. During the physical sparring sessions, Tyson stands on the canvas floor with his knee joints fully extended. This upright posture raises his center of gravity. He holds his 16-ounce leather boxing gloves 6 inches away from his cheekbones. This physical placement leaves his temporal bones and his zygomatic arches completely exposed to incoming physical impacts from his sparring partners. Tyson also changes his specific striking mechanics. D'Amato previously instructed Tyson to execute rapid, numbered punch combinations while keeping his elbows pressed tightly against his rib cage. Following the management shift, Tyson executes wide, isolated punches. He swings his right arm in a broad horizontal arc, extending his elbow joint outward from his torso. This mechanical motion increases the physical distance the red leather glove must travel before impacting the canvas-heavy bag or the physical body of an opponent. The increased physical distance requires a longer duration of time to complete the strike. Opposing boxers use this increased duration of time to visually track the moving leather glove. They process the visual data through their optic nerves and adjust their own physical stance to avoid the kinetic impact. On February 25, 1989, Tyson steps into a 20-foot square boxing ring inside the Las Vegas Hilton in the state of Nevada. He fights a 27-year-old British boxer named Frank Bruno. Bruno stands 75 inches tall, and his body weight measures 228 pounds. During the first 3-minute round, Tyson stands upright on the white cotton canvas. Bruno extends his left arm and drives his 10-ounce leather glove directly into the left side of Tyson's face. The kinetic energy from the impact accelerates Tyson's skull backward. Tyson absorbs the physical force and regains his balance on the wooden floorboards. The match continues for exactly 13 minutes and 55 seconds. In the 5th round, Tyson delivers a sequence of right uppercuts and left hooks to Bruno's jaw, and the referee terminates the contest. 5 months later, on July 21, 1989, Tyson fights an American boxer named Carl Williams. The event takes place inside the convention hall in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The arena features poured concrete walls and high-intensity halogen lamps illuminating the elevated boxing ring. Tyson weighs 214.5 pounds. Williams weighs 215 pounds. The timekeeper strikes the solid brass bell to begin the first round. Tyson walks forward across the polyurethane foam padding and swings his left arm in a wide upward arc. His red leather glove strikes the right side of Williams's mandible. Williams falls backward, and his spine strikes the white cotton canvas. The referee waves his 2 arms horizontally over Williams's body, stopping the bout in exactly 93 seconds. Tyson retains the WBC, the WBA, and the IBF heavyweight championship belts through these 2 specific matches. He collects his printed paper checks from the promoters and returns to his training camp. Donald King communicates with executives from foreign television networks to schedule the next championship defense in an international location. King signs a paper contract with a Japanese promotion company. The printed text requires Tyson to pack his leather boxing gloves and board a commercial passenger airplane. The jet engines will propel the aircraft across the Pacific Ocean to the continent of Asia. On February 11, 1990, Tyson will step onto the canvas floor inside a domed stadium in Tokyo, Japan, to fight James "Buster" Douglas in a physical match that will sever his possession of the unified heavyweight championship titles. On February 11, 1990, 23-year-old Mike Tyson stands inside the Tokyo Dome in the city of Tokyo, Japan. Builders constructed this massive stadium using a flexible fiberglass membrane, supported entirely by pressurized air pumped into the interior space. The structure holds 50,000 human beings sitting on molded plastic seats attached to sloping concrete tiers. The event organizers scheduled the main boxing match to begin at exactly 30 minutes past 1 o'clock in the afternoon local time. This specific afternoon scheduling ensures the live electromagnetic television signals reach antennas in the USA during the prime evening viewing hours. A square boxing ring, measuring 20 feet on each side, sits in the center of the stadium floor. 4 steel pipes support the corners, and heavy steel turnbuckles pull 4 parallel nylon ropes tight across the perimeter of the elevated wooden platform. Tyson steps onto the white cotton canvas, wearing solid black cotton trunks. His physical body weight registers at exactly 220.5 pounds on the mechanical medical scale. His opponent stands in the opposite corner of the ring. The opponent is a 29-year-old professional boxer named James Buster Douglas. Douglas stands 76.5 inches tall, and his body mass measures exactly 231.5 pounds. Professional sports bookmakers, operating in the state of Nevada, established the mathematical probability of Douglas winning the match at 42-1. Douglas wears white cotton trunks and high white leather boxing shoes. A referee named Octavio Mayran stands on the polyurethane foam padding between the two men. Mayran wears a white cotton button-down shirt and a black fabric bow tie around his neck. The official timekeeper strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to initiate the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks forward across the canvas with his knee joints extended in an upright posture. He holds his 10-ounce red leather boxing gloves several inches away from his cheekbones. Douglas extends his left arm frequently, contracting his triceps muscle to snap his left glove directly into Tyson's face. The dense polyurethane foam padding inside Douglas's glove repeatedly impacts Tyson's frontal bone and his left eye socket. The kinetic energy from these continuous impacts ruptures the small capillaries beneath Tyson's epidermis. By the middle rounds of the physical contest, blood and interstitial fluid pool within the biological tissue surrounding Tyson's left eye. The swollen tissue expands outward and physically obstructs his left pupil, severely restricting his visual field on that side of his skull. In the final seconds of the 8th round, Tyson drops his right shoulder toward the canvas floor. He contracts his right quadriceps and swings his right arm in an upward vertical trajectory. His 10-ounce red leather glove strikes the underside of Douglas's jaw. The physical force pushes Douglas backward, and his torso falls onto the canvas floor. Referee Mayran extends the fingers on his right hand and counts the elapsed seconds allowed. Douglas pushes his hands against the wooden floorboards and stands back up on his rubber shoe soles before the referee reaches the number 10. The brass bell rings, and the two men sit on wooden stools in their respective corners for exactly 60 seconds. The physical combat continues into the 10th round. Douglas steps forward across the canvas and swings his right arm upward. His red leather glove collides directly with the center of Tyson's mandible. Douglas immediately follows this right uppercut with a continuous sequence of 4 alternating straight punches. He extends his left arm, his right arm, his left arm, and his right arm in rapid succession. The leather gloves strike Tyson's face and skull. The concentrated transfer of kinetic energy accelerates Tyson's head backward. The sudden movement shifts the biological mass of his brain within the cerebrospinal fluid. This movement interrupts the electrical signals traveling from his motor cortex to his leg muscles. Tyson's quadriceps and hamstrings lose their structural tension, and his physical body collapses onto the floor. He lands on his left side, and his upper back presses directly against the taut nylon ropes. During the physical fall, Tyson's jaw opens. His molded plastic mouthguard falls out of his mouth and lands directly on the white cotton canvas. The mouthguard consists of transparent thermoplastic molded to the exact shape of his upper enamel teeth. Tyson rolls onto his hands and knees. He reaches his right hand out and sweeps his bulky leather glove across the floorboards. The smooth leather surface of his glove pushes the plastic mouthpiece across the canvas. He eventually grasps the plastic object with his glove and lifts it to his face. He inserts one end of the plastic guard between his lips, leaving the remaining section protruding outward into the air. Referee Mayron completes the mandated 10-second count. He waves his two arms horizontally over Tyson's kneeling body. This physical gesture officially terminates the boxing match and transfers the unified heavyweight championship titles to Douglas. The official timekeeper stops the mechanical analog clock at exactly 1 minute and 22 seconds into the 10th round. Following the conclusion of this bout in Japan, Tyson packs his leather athletic equipment and boards a commercial passenger airplane. The jet engines burn aviation fuel to propel the aircraft back to the USA. The sequence of consecutive professional boxing matches pauses, and his daily activities shift from the physical environment of athletic arenas to the wooden desks of legal courtrooms. In July of 1991, municipal police officers in Indianapolis, Indiana, will place interlocking steel handcuffs around his wrists following a formal accusation of sexual assault by a woman named Desiree Washington. A panel of 12 jurors will sit in a courtroom to review the physical evidence, and a state judge will soon sentence him to serve 6 continuous years locked inside a concrete cell at the Indiana Youth Center. In the month of July in the year 1991, 25-year-old Mike Tyson travels to the city of Indianapolis, Indiana, located in the Midwestern region of the USA. He attends public events associated with the Miss Black America pageant. The organizers of the pageant hold rehearsals inside local auditoriums. On July 19, 1991, Tyson invites an 18-year-old pageant contestant named Desiree Washington to his hotel room. Washington represents the state of Rhode Island in the pageant competition. Tyson resides inside room 606 at the Canterbury Hotel in downtown Indianapolis. The hotel building consists of red brick masonry and features a lobby with marble flooring. Room 606 contains a wooden bed frame, a mattress padded with cotton batting, and woven fabric curtains hanging over the glass windows. Inside this specific room, physical contact occurs between Tyson and Washington. Following this interaction, Washington leaves the hotel building and contacts the Indianapolis Police Department. She provides a verbal statement to police officers detailing a physical sexual assault. Officers from the police department initiate a formal criminal investigation. They collect physical evidence from the hotel room, including fabric fibers and biological samples. The Marion County Grand Jury reviews the collected evidence and issues a formal indictment against Tyson. On September 11, 1991, Tyson surrenders to the local authorities. Police officers place interlocking steel handcuffs around his wrists. The metal rings compress against the epidermal layer of his skin. The officers process his physical identity by pressing his fingertips onto a black ink pad and transferring the carbon-based ink onto white paper cards. The state of Indiana schedules a criminal trial to begin on January 27, 1992. The trial takes place inside the Marion County Superior Court building. The courtroom features wooden benches, acoustic ceiling tiles, and a raised mahogany desk. Judge Patricia Gifford sits behind this wooden desk, wearing a black cotton judicial robe. 12 local citizens sit in the jury box on the right side of the room. The jury consists of 6 adult men and 6 adult women. Lawyers representing the state of Indiana present the physical evidence and verbal testimonies. Lawyers representing Tyson present their own witnesses and cross-examine the state's evidence. The presentation of the legal arguments lasts for exactly 2 weeks. On February 10, 1992, the 12 members of the jury walk into a private room to deliberate the evidence. The jury room contains a single wooden table and 12 matching chairs. The jurors speak to one another and vote on the specific criminal charges. After 9 hours and 20 minutes of deliberation, the jurors return to the courtroom. The jury foreman hands a folded white paper document to a court bailiff. The bailiff hands the paper to Judge Gifford. The printed text on the paper declares Tyson guilty of 1 count of rape and 2 counts of criminal deviant conduct. Judge Gifford schedules a formal sentencing hearing for March 26, 1992. On this specific date, Tyson stands in front of the mahogany desk. Judge Gifford reads the legal penalty aloud, using her vocal cords. She sentences Tyson to serve exactly 10 years in the custody of the state. The judge suspends 4 years of the sentence, reducing the mandatory period of physical incarceration to 6 continuous years. She also mandates a probationary period of 4 years following his release from prison, and she orders him to pay a financial penalty of $30,000. Following the reading of the sentence, court officers secure Tyson's wrists with steel handcuffs. They attach a steel chain around his waist and connect the handcuffs directly to the waist chain. They place interlocking steel shackles around his ankles, connecting the 2 ankle cuffs with a 12-inch metal chain. This physical restraint system restricts his leg movements to short walking steps. The officers guide Tyson out of the courthouse and place him into the back seat of a secure transport van. The van features steel mesh cages, separating the driver from the passengers. The internal combustion engine of the transport van powers the vehicle out of Indianapolis. The driver steers the van along the paved asphalt surface of US Route 40. The vehicle travels westward for exactly 15 miles. The van arrives at the perimeter of the Indiana Youth Center. This facility sits within the municipal boundaries of Plainfield, Indiana. The Indiana Department of Correction manages this specific facility. The administrative organization utilizes the acronym IDOC. The physical perimeter of the Indiana Youth Center consists of multiple layers of chain-link fencing. Heavy-gauge steel wire forms a continuous diamond pattern measuring 12 feet in height. Coils of razor wire rest on top of the fences. The razor wire features sharp metal blades stamped directly out of the steel strand. State correctional officers stand inside elevated guard towers constructed from cinder blocks and reinforced concrete. The officers carry firearms and monitor the perimeter fences using optical binoculars. The transport van passes through a heavy sliding steel gate. The gate rolls on metal tracks powered by an electric motor. The van parks on the asphalt driveway, and the court officers escort Tyson out of the vehicle. Correctional officers, wearing dark blue uniforms, take physical custody of Tyson. They remove his civilian clothing and issue him a set of standard prison garments. The uniform consists of a short-sleeved cotton shirt and matching cotton trousers. The officers assign Tyson an official identification number. They record his numerical designation as 922335 in the physical logbooks. The guards walk Tyson through a series of locked steel doors. Each door requires a heavy brass key to manipulate the internal metal tumblers. They lead him into a housing block constructed from poured concrete walls and linoleum tile floors. The guards secure him inside a single cell measuring exactly 8 feet wide by 10 feet long. The cell contains a steel bed frame bolted directly to the concrete wall. A thin mattress sits on the steel frame, filled with fire-retardant synthetic foam. A stainless steel sink and a matching stainless steel toilet sit in the corner of the room. A solid steel door, featuring a narrow rectangular window of reinforced security glass, closes behind him. A heavy steel deadbolt slides into the metal doorframe, locking the 25-year-old former heavyweight champion inside the enclosed space. He will remain inside this concrete and steel facility for exactly 3 years, reading printed history books on his mattress and converting his religious affiliation before the state parole board finally authorizes his physical release back into the outside world. Mike Tyson occupies a concrete cell inside the Indiana Youth Center, located in Plainfield, Indiana. The internal dimensions of this enclosed space measure exactly 8 feet in width and 10 feet in length. The walls consist of poured concrete painted with semi-gloss white acrylic paint. The floor consists of square linoleum tiles adhered directly to a concrete slab. Tyson sleeps on a flat steel bed frame bolted into the concrete wall using heavy steel anchors. A mattress filled with fire-retardant synthetic foam rests on top of the steel frame. Tyson covers the foam mattress with 2 white cotton sheets and a single gray wool blanket provided by the State Correction Department. He wears a state-issued uniform consisting of a short-sleeved khaki cotton shirt and matching khaki trousers. He wears white cotton socks and slip-on canvas shoes featuring flat rubber soles. The facility regulates the internal air temperature using a centralized natural gas heating system, maintaining the ambient atmospheric air at 68 degrees Fahrenheit during the winter months. During the daylight hours, Tyson walks out of his concrete cell and travels down a long corridor illuminated by overhead fluorescent glass tubes. He enters the facility library. The library contains rows of fabricated steel shelves holding thousands of printed books. The books feature thick cardboard covers and pages manufactured from pressed wood pulp. Tyson selects volumes detailing the lives of historical military leaders and political strategists. He specifically extracts a book titled The Prince, originally written by an Italian diplomat named Niccolò Machiavelli in the year 1532 in Florence, Italy. Tyson carries the physical book back to his cell. He sits on his foam mattress and visually scans the black ink letters printed on the white paper pages. His optic nerves transmit the visual shapes to his brain, processing the 16th century political theories detailing the acquisition and maintenance of physical power. He reads these pages under the continuous white light emitted by the single fluorescent bulb installed in the ceiling of his cell. Tyson also engages in structured religious instruction during his period of incarceration. He meets with an Islamic imam authorized to visit the inmates inside the facility. The imam brings printed copies of the Quran, translated into the English language. Tyson reads the printed text and memorizes specific phonetic phrases in the Arabic language. He adopts a daily physical routine dictated by Islamic tradition. He places a woven cotton prayer rug directly onto the linoleum tiles of his cell floor. He uses a magnetic compass to determine the exact geographic direction of Mecca, Saudi Arabia, located thousands of miles east of the USA. He aligns the rectangular rug with this specific directional heading. Tyson kneels on the cotton fibers 5 distinct times each day. He lowers his physical body, bends his knee joints, and presses his forehead flat against the cotton rug. He recites the memorized Arabic phrases using his vocal cords. He signs formal religious documents, officially converting his faith to Islam, and he adopts the Arabic name Malik Abdul Aziz. The planet Earth completes 3 full orbits around the Sun, while Tyson remains inside the Plainfield facility. This specific time period equals exactly 36 months. This duration represents exactly 50% of his original 6-year judicial sentence. As the calendar approaches the spring months of 1995, the Indiana State Parole Board schedules a formal hearing to review his custody status. The board members sit at a wooden table and review printed paper folders containing Tyson's behavioral records and psychological evaluations. The black ink text on the paper documents confirms his adherence to facility rules. The board members hold ballpoint pens and sign their legal names at the bottom of a release authorization form. The signature on this paper document legally terminates his physical confinement and transitions his status to a 4-year probationary period. The calendar reaches the exact date of March 25, 1995. Tyson is 28 years old on this specific morning. Correctional officers wearing dark blue uniforms walk to his cell and insert a brass key into the steel door lock. The metal tumblers rotate and the heavy door swings open on its steel hinges. The officers escort Tyson to the processing center near the front entrance of the facility. They instruct him to remove his khaki cotton uniform. The officers return the exact civilian clothing Tyson wore on the day of his original incarceration. Tyson puts on his personal cotton shirts and denim trousers. The guards return his personal wallet containing his identification cards. The administrative staff formally discharge his numerical designation from the active inmate logbook. Tyson walks down a final concrete hallway toward the main exit. A correctional officer presses a plastic button on a wall-mounted control panel. An electric motor engages, pulling a heavy sliding steel gate along a lubricated metal track. Tyson steps through the open doorway and walks onto the paved asphalt surface of the exterior parking lot. The ambient atmospheric air touches the skin of his face. He steps into a waiting motor vehicle, featuring internal leather seats and a gasoline-powered engine. The driver steers the vehicle over the asphalt roads, moving away from the chain-link fences and the razor wire of the Indiana Youth Center. Tyson travels to a private boxing gymnasium to resume his physical conditioning. He resumes striking heavy canvas bags filled with sand and spars for multiple rounds with human training partners inside the elevated boxing rings. He signs a printed legal contract negotiated by promoter Donald King. This document schedules a professional heavyweight boxing match for August 19, 1995, inside the MGM Grand Casino in Las Vegas, Nevada. He will fight an opponent named Peter McNeely in a highly anticipated event that will generate 96 million United States dollars in worldwide revenue and conclude in exactly 89 seconds. On August 19, 1995, a crowd of 16,113 people walks into the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, located within the USA. The MGM Grand Complex consists of reinforced concrete columns and thousands of green-tinted glass windows. Inside the arena, workers assembled a 20-foot square boxing ring on an elevated steel platform. 4 heavy steel posts anchor the corners of the ring. Steel turnbuckles pull 4 parallel nylon ropes tight around the perimeter. The floor of the ring consists of flat wooden planks covered by an inch of closed-cell polyurethane foam padding and a layer of stretched white cotton canvas. High-intensity metal halide lamps illuminate the white canvas from the steel ceiling trusses above, raising the ambient temperature of the combat area to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. Mike Tyson is 29 years old on this specific date. He walks down the concrete aisle toward the ring, wearing solid black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes laced directly against his bare feet. His physical body mass registers at exactly 220 pounds on the mechanical medical scale inside his locker room. He steps onto the canvas floor, wearing 10-ounce red leather boxing gloves over his taped hands. His opponent stands in the opposite corner of the ring. The opponent is a 26-year-old professional boxer named Peter McNeely. McNeely stands 74 inches tall, from the soles of his shoes to the top of his skull, and his body weight measures 224 pounds. McNeely wears white cotton trunks featuring green vertical stripes along the lateral seams. A referee named Mills Lane stands on the canvas between the two men. Lane wears a short-sleeved light blue cotton shirt, dark wool trousers, and a black fabric bow tie around his neck. The television broadcast of this specific event transmits through copper coaxial cables to a mobile broadcasting truck parked outside the arena. A parabolic metal antenna on the roof of the truck transmits the electromagnetic radio waves up into the atmosphere, bouncing the signal off an orbital satellite down to residential receivers across the USA. Over 1,500,000 households pay a specific monetary fee to decrypt the scrambled radio frequencies on their television sets. The combined television viewership purchases and the physical arena ticket sales generate exactly 96 million United States dollars in gross revenue. An official timekeeper sitting at a wooden table strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to initiate the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks forward across the polyurethane foam padding. McNeely runs rapidly toward the center of the ring and swings his right arm in a wide horizontal arc toward Tyson's head. Tyson bends his knee joints and lowers his center of gravity. He rotates his external oblique muscles and slips his head to the right side of the incoming leather glove. Tyson drops his right shoulder toward the floorboards and drives his right arm forward. His red leather glove strikes McNeely on the right side of the mandible. The kinetic energy from Tyson's 220-pound frame transfers directly into McNeely's temporal bone. McNeely falls forward, and his chest and face impact the white cotton canvas. Referee Mills Lane points his index finger at McNeely and begins counting the elapsed seconds out loud, using his vocal cords. McNeely pushes his leather gloves against the floorboards and stands back up on his feet. Lane wipes the microscopic dust particles from McNeely's gloves using his blue cotton shirt and signals the men to resume fighting. McNeely walks forward and pushes his physical body mass against Tyson, pressing Tyson's back directly against the taut nylon ropes. Tyson pushes back with his triceps muscles and creates physical space between their bodies. Tyson contracts his right quadriceps and swings his right arm in an upward vertical trajectory. The 10-ounce red leather glove impacts the center of McNeely's face. The physical force accelerates McNeely's skull backward. The sudden movement shifts his brain inside the cerebrospinal fluid, interrupting the electrical signals traveling to his leg muscles. McNeely collapses backward, and his upper back and head strike the canvas floor a second time. McNeely sits up on the floorboards and rests his body weight on his left knee. At this exact moment, McNeely's manager, Vinny Vecchione, steps onto the ring apron. Vecchione places his hands on the nylon ropes, pushes the strands apart, and walks directly onto the white canvas. He wears a civilian cotton shirt and leather shoes. He walks toward his fighter, while the active 3-minute round continues. Professional boxing regulations, enforced by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, explicitly mandate an automatic disqualification if a manager or trainer enters the ring area during an active round. Referee Mills Lane observes the manager standing on the canvas floor. Lane waves his two arms horizontally over the floorboards, officially terminating the physical contest due to a rules violation. The official timekeeper presses the metal button on his analog stopwatch. The mechanical gears stop turning, and the metal needle points to the 89-second mark on the circular dial. The entire physical confrontation lasts exactly 1 minute and 29 seconds. Tyson secures his first professional victory following his release from the Indiana Youth Center. He returns to the locker room beneath the stadium seating, cuts the white athletic tape off his wrists using steel scissors, and removes his 10-ounce leather gloves. This initial victory initiates a sequence of scheduled championship bouts for the following calendar year. Tyson will continue his physical conditioning inside the boxing gymnasium, increasing his cardiovascular capacity for longer durations of active combat. On March 16, 1996, he will return to the MGM Grand in Las Vegas to fight Frank Bruno for the World Boxing Council heavyweight title. He will step into the ring against Bruno, deliver a sequence of physical strikes over 3 rounds, and join Muhammad Ali and George Foreman as one of the few men in history to reclaim a major heavyweight championship belt. On March 16, 1996, 30-year-old Mike Tyson returns to the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, located within the USA. The event organizers construct the 20-foot square boxing ring inside the indoor pavilion using steel pipes and wooden floorboards. The floorboards rest beneath closed-cell polyurethane foam padding and a layer of white cotton canvas. High-intensity metal halide lamps project white light downward from the steel ceiling trusses. Tyson walks across the canvas, wearing solid black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes. His physical body mass registers at exactly 220 pounds on the mechanical medical scale. His opponent stands in the opposite corner of the ring. The opponent is a 34-year-old British boxer named Frank Bruno. Bruno stands 75 inches tall, and his body weight measures 247 pounds. Bruno wears red cotton trunks. He enters the ring holding the World Boxing Council Heavyweight Championship title. The Boxing Commission utilizes the acronym WBC to designate this specific championship belt. A referee named Mills Lane stands on the canvas between the two men. The official timekeeper strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to start the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks forward and throws a right hand toward Bruno's face. Bruno immediately extends his arms and wraps his leather gloves around Tyson's upper torso and neck. Bruno uses his 247-pound physical mass to press Tyson downward, creating mechanical friction and restricting Tyson's arm movements. Mills Lane steps between their bodies, places his hands against their chests, and pushes outward with his triceps muscles to physically separate the two fighters. The physical combat continues into the 3rd round. Tyson bends his knee joints and drops his right shoulder toward the canvas. He pushes upward with his right quadriceps and swings his right arm in a vertical trajectory. The polyurethane foam, padding inside his 10-ounce red leather glove, impacts the underside of Bruno's jaw. Bruno steps backward until his upper back presses against the taut nylon ropes bordering the ring. Tyson steps forward and delivers a continuous sequence of alternating left and right hooks. The leather gloves repeatedly strike Bruno's temporal bones and facial tissue. Bruno's arms drop to his sides, exposing his skull to further kinetic impacts. Referee Mills Lane steps directly in front of Tyson. Lane waves his 2 arms horizontally over the floorboards, terminating the physical match at exactly 50 seconds into the 3rd round. An official hands the green leather WBC championship belt to Tyson. By securing this specific physical belt, Tyson joins Muhammad Ali and George Foreman as one of the few professional boxers in history to lose a heavyweight championship and subsequently reclaim the title. Tyson signs a legal contract to fight for a second championship belt 6 months later. On September 7, 1996, he returns to the exact same 20-foot square ring inside the MGM Grand Garden Arena. He intends to acquire the World Boxing Association title, designated by the acronym WBA. A 29-year-old professional boxer named Bruce Seldon currently holds this specific black leather belt. Seldon stands 73.5 inches tall, and his physical body weight registers at 229 pounds. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell to begin the first round. Tyson walks across the polyurethane foam padding and swings his left arm in a horizontal arc. His red leather glove strikes Seldon's head. Seldon falls forward, and his chest and knees impact the white cotton canvas. A referee named Richard Steele extends the fingers of his right hand and counts the elapsed seconds aloud. Seldon pushes his hands against the floorboards and stands back up on his feet. Tyson closes the physical distance a second time and swings his left arm upward. The leather glove strikes Seldon's face. Seldon falls backward onto the canvas floor, landing entirely on his back. His eyes stare upward toward the metal halide lamps. He rolls onto his stomach and attempts to stand. His leg muscles lose their structural tension, and he stumbles sideways across the floorboards. Referee Richard Steele observes the irregular electrical signals affecting Seldon's skeletal muscles. Steele waves his arms horizontally in the air, terminating the bout. The official analog clock stops at exactly 1 minute and 49 seconds of the first round. This duration equals 109 seconds. Tyson receives the black leather WBA belt from the Boxing Commission officials. He physically holds 2 of the major heavyweight titles simultaneously. Following the acquisition of these 2 belts, promoter Donald King negotiates a new legal contract for Tyson's next title defense. King schedules a match for November 9, 1996, inside the MGM Grand Garden Arena. Tyson will face a 34-year-old former heavyweight champion named Evander Holyfield. Professional sports bookmakers operating in the state of Nevada will establish Tyson as a heavy mathematical favorite to win the contest. Holyfield will enter the 20-foot ring and employ a precise strategy of fighting at close physical range. He will consistently tie up Tyson's arms to restrict the generation of kinetic torque, wearing down Tyson's cardiovascular endurance until the referee halts the bout in the 11th round to award Holyfield a technical knockout victory. On November 9, 1996, 30-year-old Mike Tyson sits inside a concrete locker room at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, located in the western region of the USA. His physical body weight registers at exactly 222 pounds on a mechanical medical scale. Professional sports bookmakers operating inside the casino complex process paper betting slips and calculate mathematical odds. These bookmakers establish the numerical probability of Tyson winning the upcoming bout at 25-1. Tyson prepares to defend his black leather World Boxing Association championship belt against a 34-year-old professional boxer named Evander Holyfield. Holyfield stands 74.5 inches tall from the flat rubber soles of his boxing shoes to the top of his skull. His physical body mass measures exactly 215 pounds on the medical scale. Tyson walks out of the locker room and down the concrete aisle toward the elevated boxing ring. He wears solid black cotton trunks and black leather shoes placed directly over his bare feet. Holyfield walks toward the ring wearing purple cotton trunks featuring white vertical stripes along the lateral seams. A referee named Mitch Halpern stands on the white cotton canvas between the two fighters. Halpern wears a short-sleeved light blue cotton shirt, dark wool trousers, and a black fabric bow tie around his neck. The official timekeeper sits at a wooden table outside the ring and strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer. The first 3-minute round begins. Tyson walks forward across the polyurethane foam padding covering the wooden floorboards. He contracts his right quadriceps and swings his right arm forward. His 10-ounce red leather boxing glove impacts the left side of Holyfield's jaw. Holyfield absorbs the transfer of kinetic energy and remains standing on his feet. Holyfield steps forward and presses his chest directly against Tyson's chest. Holyfield wraps his two arms around Tyson's triceps and shoulders. This physical holding tactic creates mechanical friction between their sweating bodies. The physical pressure of Holyfield's arms restricts Tyson's elbow joints, preventing Tyson from generating the necessary rotational torque to throw his hooks and uppercuts. Referee Mitch Halpern steps between the two men, places his open hands against their upper chests, and pushes outward to physically separate their bodies. Halpern steps backward, and Holyfield immediately steps forward to initiate a second clinch, resting his 215-pound mass directly onto Tyson's collarbones. The physical combat continues into the 6th round. The continuous physical exertion of pushing against Holyfield's body weight elevates Tyson's heart rate. His eccrine glands secrete liquid sweat onto his epidermis, and the sweat drips onto the white cotton canvas. During the middle of the 6th round, both men step forward simultaneously. Holyfield lowers his skull toward the canvas floor. The dense frontal bone of Holyfield's forehead collides directly with the soft biological tissue located directly above Tyson's left eye. The physical impact ruptures the small capillaries beneath the skin. Bright red oxygenated blood flows out of the torn tissue and drips down Tyson's cheekbone. Referee Halpern observes the physical collision and officially rules the impact an accidental clash of heads. In the final seconds of the 6th round, Holyfield pushes his rubber shoe soles against the canvas floor and swings his left arm in a horizontal arc. His 10-ounce red leather glove bypasses Tyson's right arm and impacts Tyson's chest. The sudden physical force disrupts Tyson's center of gravity. Tyson falls backward, and his upper torso strikes the wooden floorboards. He sits on the canvas floor while the referee counts the elapsed seconds. Tyson stands back up on his feet before the count of 10. The brass bell rings to conclude the 6th round, and Tyson sits on a wooden stool in his corner, while a corner worker presses a white cotton towel against the bleeding tissue above his left eye. The physical match progresses into the 10th round. Holyfield walks across the center of the ring and delivers a sequence of straight right punches. The polyurethane foam padding inside Holyfield's leather gloves repeatedly impacts the left side of Tyson's jaw. The kinetic energy pushes Tyson's skull backward. Tyson stumbles across the canvas floor until his upper back presses against the taut nylon ropes bordering the ring perimeter. The nylon strands stretch backward, supporting Tyson's physical body weight and preventing him from falling off the elevated platform. Holyfield continues throwing punches until the timekeeper strikes the brass bell to end the 3-minute round. The bell rings to initiate the 11th round. Tyson steps off his wooden stool and walks toward the center of the ring. His respiration rate increases as his lungs pull atmospheric oxygen through his trachea to supply his skeletal muscles. Holyfield steps forward and initiates a continuous sequence of alternating left and right punches. The red leather gloves strike Tyson's temporal bones, cheekbones, and chin. Tyson's arms drop toward his waist, exposing his face to further physical impacts. He stops swinging his leather gloves toward Holyfield's body. Referee Mitch Halpern observes Tyson's lowered arms and steps directly between the two fighters. Halpern waves his two arms horizontally over the floorboards, officially terminating the physical match at exactly 37 seconds into the 11th round. The Boxing Commission officials hand the black leather WBA championship belt to Holyfield. Following the conclusion of this specific match, Tyson's management team drafts a new printed legal contract to schedule a direct rematch for the championship title. Promoter Donald King negotiates the financial terms and signs the paper documents using a ballpoint pen. The promoters schedule the second bout for June 28, 1997. Both men will travel back to the MGM Grand Garden Arena and step onto the exact same white cotton canvas. During the third round of this future rematch, Tyson will wrap his arms around Holyfield's neck, open his jaw, and use his upper and lower enamel teeth to bite a 1-inch piece of cartilage directly off the top of Holyfield's right ear. On June 28, 1997, thousands of people walk into the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, located within the USA. The event organizers constructed a 20-foot square boxing ring on an elevated steel platform inside the facility. Workers covered the wooden floorboards with a layer of closed-cell polyurethane foam padding and a stretched sheet of white cotton canvas. High-intensity metal halide lamps illuminate the white surface from the steel ceiling trusses above. Mike Tyson is exactly 30 years and 11 months old on this specific date. His physical body mass registers at exactly 218 pounds on a mechanical medical scale. He wears black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes. Evander Holyfield stands in the opposite locker room. Holyfield is 34 years old, and his body weight also measures exactly 218 pounds. Holyfield wears purple cotton trunks. A referee named Mills Lane stands on the canvas between the two men. Lane wears a short-sleeved light blue cotton shirt and a black fabric bow tie. The official timekeeper sits at a wooden table outside the nylon ropes. He strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer to begin the first 3-minute round. Tyson walks forward and throws a right hook. Holyfield immediately extends his arms and wraps his leather gloves around Tyson's triceps and back. Holyfield presses his chest against Tyson's chest, creating mechanical friction and restricting Tyson's rotational movements. In the second round, Holyfield leans his upper torso forward. The dense frontal bone of Holyfield's skull collides directly with the biological tissue located above Tyson's right eye. The physical impact ruptures the capillaries under the skin. Bright red oxygenated blood flows from the severed blood vessels and drips down Tyson's right cheek. Referee Mills Lane observes the collision and declares the physical impact an accidental clash of heads. Lane allows the active round to continue until the timekeeper strikes the brass bell. Tyson sits on a wooden stool in his corner for exactly 60 seconds. A corner worker presses a white cotton towel against the open wound to absorb the bleeding. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell to initiate the third round. Tyson stands up and walks toward the center of the ring. He leaves his molded plastic mouthguard sitting on the corner platform. Mills Lane points at Tyson's mouth and instructs him to return to the corner to retrieve the protective equipment. Tyson walks backward, inserts the plastic guard over his upper enamel teeth, and returns to the center of the canvas. Tyson and Holyfield close the physical distance and initiate a clinch. They press their sweating bodies together. Tyson rests his chin over Holyfield's right shoulder. Tyson opens his jaw, separating his upper and lower rows of teeth. He presses his mouth directly against the upper edge of Holyfield's right ear. Tyson contracts his masseter and temporalis muscles, closing his jaw with significant mechanical force. His enamel teeth slice through the epidermal skin layer and the helical cartilage of Holyfield's ear. Tyson severs a 1-inch piece of biological tissue from Holyfield's skull. Tyson pulls his head backward, opens his lips, and spits the severed piece of cartilage directly onto the white cotton canvas floor. Holyfield pushes Tyson backward using his forearms. Holyfield jumps vertically on the canvas, lifting the rubber soles of his shoes off the floorboards. He rotates his body in a circle and presses his 10-ounce red leather glove against the bleeding edge of his right ear. Referee Mills Lane steps between the fighters and instructs the timekeeper to pause the mechanical analog stopwatch. A ringside medical doctor climbs onto the ring apron. The doctor visually examines the severed blood vessels and the torn cartilage. The doctor determines Holyfield retains the physiological capacity to continue the match. Lane deducts 2 points from Tyson's official scorecard and signals the men to resume fighting. Tyson walks forward and engages in another physical clinch. He wraps his arms around Holyfield's torso. Tyson opens his jaw a second time and bites the cartilage of Holyfield's left ear. His teeth tear the skin but do not completely sever the tissue. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell to end the third 3-minute round. Mills Lane walks to the side of the ring and speaks directly with officials from the Nevada State Athletic Commission. This governing body utilizes the acronym NSAC. Following this verbal exchange, Lane walks back to the center of the ring. He waves his 2 arms horizontally over the floorboards, officially terminating the physical match and disqualifying Tyson for utilizing his teeth as a physical weapon. The NSAC schedules a formal administrative hearing a few days later. The commission members sit behind a long wooden desk and speak into electronic microphones. They issue a formal legal ruling in response to the physical bites. The commission officially revokes Tyson's professional boxing license within the state of Nevada. The administrative body also issues a financial penalty, requiring Tyson to transfer exactly $3 million to the state commission. Following this license revocation, Tyson waits several years before other state athletic commissions reinstate his legal permission to engage in professional boxing matches. He continues his physical training routines, lifting heavy iron weights to maintain his muscular mass as his physical age advances into his mid-30s. He will eventually sign a printed legal contract to fight a British boxer named Lennox Lewis for the Unified Heavyweight Championship. He will travel to the Pyramid Arena in Memphis, Tennessee on June 8, 2002, and step onto the canvas weighing 234 pounds to absorb continuous punches from Lewis until the referee halts the match in the 8th round. On June 8, 2002, event organizers host a professional boxing match inside the Pyramid Arena in Memphis, Tennessee, located within the USA. Builders constructed this indoor arena using carbon steel beams and covered the exterior surface with panels of stainless steel. The apex of the building reaches exactly 321 feet above the surrounding asphalt parking lots. Inside the facility, thousands of spectators sit on plastic folding chairs arranged around a 20-foot square boxing ring. The floor of the ring consists of flat wooden planks covered by an inch of closed-cell polyurethane foam padding and a layer of stretched white cotton canvas. Mike Tyson is 35 years and 11 months old on this specific date. He walks into the arena and steps onto the white canvas floor. His physical body mass registers at exactly 234 pounds on a mechanical medical scale. This specific measurement represents the highest recorded body weight of his professional boxing career up to this exact date. He wears solid black cotton trunks and black leather shoes laced directly over his bare feet. His opponent stands in the opposite corner of the ring. The opponent is a 36-year-old British boxer named Lennox Lewis. Lewis stands 77 inches tall, from the flat rubber soles of his boxing shoes to the top of his skull. His physical body weight measures exactly 249 1/4 pounds. Lewis currently holds the World Boxing Council and the International Boxing Federation heavyweight championship titles. The boxing commissions utilize the acronyms WBC and IBF to designate these specific physical belts. A referee named Eddie Cotton stands on the canvas between the two men. Cotton wears a short-sleeved light blue cotton shirt and a black fabric bow tie around his neck. Both fighters wear 10-ounce red leather boxing gloves containing molded foam padding over their knuckles. The official timekeeper sits at a wooden table outside the nylon ropes and strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer. The first 3-minute round begins. Tyson bends his knee joints and walks forward across the wooden floorboards. He lowers his center of gravity and swings his left arm in a horizontal arc toward Lewis. Lewis utilizes his 77-inch height and his 84-inch arm reach to establish a physical distance between their bodies. Lewis extends his left arm and drives his 10-ounce leather glove directly into the center of Tyson's face. This specific straight left punch relies on the extension of the triceps muscle. The polyurethane foam padding impacts Tyson's nose and cheekbones. The kinetic energy pushes Tyson's skull backward. Tyson steps backward to regain his physical balance on the canvas floor. Lewis continuously repeats this mechanical extension of his left arm throughout the first 7 rounds of the match. The continuous physical impacts rupture the small capillaries beneath the epidermal skin layer around Tyson's eyes. Bright red oxygenated blood flows out of the torn tissue and drips down his cheeks onto the white cotton canvas. The physical exertion of walking forward and absorbing kinetic energy elevates Tyson's heart rate. His lungs pull atmospheric oxygen through his trachea to supply glucose to his skeletal muscles, and his eccrine glands secrete liquid sweat onto his skin. Tyson's body weight of 234 pounds reduces his mechanical rotational velocity, severely restricting his ability to slip his head past Lewis's extending left glove. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell to initiate the 8th round. Tyson steps off his wooden stool and walks slowly toward the center of the ring. Lewis steps forward and extends his left arm, striking Tyson's face with the red leather glove. Lewis immediately contracts his right quadriceps and rotates his right hip forward. He swings his right arm in a straight, linear trajectory. The 10-ounce red leather glove collides directly with the left side of Tyson's mandible. The transfer of kinetic energy from Lewis's 249-pound frame accelerates Tyson's skull backward and to the right. The sudden movement shifts Tyson's brain inside the cerebrospinal fluid, interrupting the electrical signals traveling through his central nervous system. Tyson's leg muscles lose their structural tension. His physical body collapses backward. His lower back, his shoulder blades, and the back of his skull impact the white cotton canvas floor simultaneously. He lies flat on his back, staring upward at the metal halide lamps illuminating the elevated platform. Referee Eddie Cotton stands over Tyson. Cotton extends the fingers of his right hand and counts the elapsed seconds out loud using his vocal cords. Tyson remains flat on the wooden floorboards as Cotton reaches the number 10. Cotton waves his 2 arms horizontally over the canvas, officially terminating the physical contest at exactly 2 minutes and 25 seconds into the 8th round. Medical staff members enter the ring and wipe the blood from Tyson's face using white cotton towels. Lewis retains his physical possession of the WBC and IBF championship belts. Tyson walks out of the Pyramid Arena and returns to his training camp. This specific defeat marks the final time Tyson competes for a major professional heavyweight championship. He will engage in 2 additional professional bouts over the next 3 calendar years. He will step into a ring on June 11, 2005, to fight an Irish boxer named Kevin McBride in the capital city of the USA, where he will remain seated on a wooden stool after the 6th round and verbally announce his permanent retirement from the sport of professional boxing. On June 11, 2005, a crowd of 16,000 spectators enters the MCI Center, located in Washington, District of Columbia, the capital city of the USA. Inside the main seating bowl, event organizers assembled a 20-foot square boxing ring on an elevated platform. 4 steel corner posts anchor 4 parallel nylon ropes. The ring floor consists of wooden planks covered by closed-cell polyurethane foam padding and a stretched sheet of white cotton canvas. Mike Tyson is 38 years and 11 months old on this specific date. He walks down the concrete aisle and steps onto the white canvas floor. His physical body mass registers at exactly 233 pounds on a mechanical medical scale. This specific numerical mass equals the biological weight of a newborn African elephant. He wears solid black cotton trunks and black leather boxing shoes laced directly against his bare feet. He wears red leather boxing gloves containing 10 ounces of molded polyurethane foam padding. His opponent is a 32-year-old professional boxer named Kevin McBride. Originally born in the country of Ireland, McBride stands 78 inches tall from the flat rubber soles of his boxing shoes to the top of his skull. His physical body weight measures exactly 271 pounds. McBride wears green cotton trunks. A referee named Joe Cortez stands on the canvas between the 2 men. The official timekeeper sits at a wooden table outside the nylon ropes and strikes a solid brass bell with a metal hammer. The first 3-minute round begins. Tyson bends his knee joints and walks forward across the wooden floorboards. He lowers his center of gravity and swings his left arm in a horizontal arc. His red leather glove impacts McBride's ribcage. McBride immediately steps forward and wraps his arms around Tyson's shoulders. McBride presses his chest against Tyson's chest, resting his 271-pound mass directly onto Tyson's collarbones. This physical holding tactic creates mechanical friction between their sweating bodies. The physical pressure restricts Tyson's arm movements and forces his quadriceps and calf muscles to bear the combined physical weight of both men. Referee Joe Cortez steps between the fighters, places his hands against their chests, and pushes outward with his triceps muscles to physically separate their bodies. This physical sequence of Tyson stepping forward and McBride initiating a clinch repeats continuously throughout the first 5 rounds of the match. The continuous physical exertion of carrying McBride's body weight depletes the glucose levels in Tyson's skeletal muscles. His respiratory rate increases as his lungs pull atmospheric oxygen through his trachea. His eccrine glands secrete liquid sweat onto his epidermis, and the sweat drips onto the white cotton canvas. The timekeeper strikes the brass bell to begin the 6th round. Tyson and McBride walk to the center of the ring and engage in another physical clinch. During this specific clinch, Tyson presses the top of his skull directly against the left side of McBride's face. The dense frontal bone of Tyson's forehead collides with the biological tissue above McBride's left eye. The physical impact ruptures the small capillaries beneath the skin, and bright red oxygenated blood flows out of the torn tissue. Referee Joe Cortez observes the physical collision. Cortez instructs the timekeeper to pause the analog stopwatch. He deducts 2 numerical points from Tyson's official scorecard for executing an intentional headbutt and signals the men to resume fighting. In the final seconds of the 6th round, McBride places his 2 10-ounce leather gloves against Tyson's chest. McBride contracts his triceps muscles and pushes his arms forward. The physical force disrupts Tyson's center of gravity. Tyson falls backward, and his lower torso strikes the canvas floor. His upper back rests against the bottom nylon rope. Tyson remains seated on the floorboards until the timekeeper strikes the brass bell to conclude the 3-minute round. Tyson pushes his hands against the canvas, stands up on his feet, and walks to his designated corner. Tyson sits down on a wooden stool provided by his corner workers. His respiratory system continues to pull oxygen into his lungs at a rapid rate. A corner worker wipes the sweat from Tyson's face using a white cotton towel. The 60-second resting period concludes, and the timekeeper strikes the brass bell to initiate the 7th round. McBride stands up from his stool and walks toward the center of the ring. Tyson remains seated on his wooden stool. He communicates verbally with his corner workers and referee Joe Cortez. Tyson states using his vocal cords that he will retire from the physical combat. Referee Joe Cortez waves his 2 arms horizontally over the floorboards, officially terminating the match at exactly 0 seconds into the 7th round. The Boxing Commission records the result as a technical knockout victory for Kevin McBride. Following the stoppage, an interviewer holds an electronic microphone near Tyson's mouth, transmitting his acoustic vocal waves to television speakers across the USA. Tyson states into the microphone that he is officially retiring from the sport of professional boxing. He concludes his professional athletic career with a documented record of exactly 50 victories, exactly 6 defeats, and 2 no contests. Tyson walks out of the MCI Center and eventually establishes a permanent physical residence in the state of Nevada. He acquires a commercial business license and operates a company cultivating agricultural cannabis plants. He installs a wooden enclosure in his yard, measuring exactly 10 feet long and 8 feet wide. He covers the wooden frame with galvanized steel wire mesh. Inside this enclosure, he places dozens of rock doves, scientifically classified as Columba livia. He fills galvanized steel pans with dried field peas, cracked corn, and clean water. He uses the index and middle fingers of his right hand to stroke the dorsal feathers of these specific birds, repeating the exact physical actions he performed on a brick roof in Brooklyn 50 years prior.